You are listening to The Robert Scott Bell Show.
These days, it's more important than ever to know where our food and supplements come from. That's why at Plus CBD Oil, we believe it is critical to manage every step of the supply chain process. It all starts with certified hemp seeds. Our hemp grows tall, like bamboo, and is harvested within 3 months. After harvest, the hemp is dried and sent to our CO2 extraction facility, where our raw formula is extracted. The extracted oil is then lawfully imported to our state-of-the-art in-house laboratory in San Diego, California. There, we convert our raw formula into our total plant complex and gold formula oils. Our oils are then used to formulate our award-winning Plus CBD oil product line. The products are then tested for cannabinoid content and the absence of harmful substances. But we go one step further. We then send our products to a third-party laboratory to verify concentration, quality, and safety. After that, the products have finished their journey and are ready to be shipped to your local health food store. Because at Plus CBD Oil, we believe how you do anything is how you do everything. That's why, from seed to shelf, we are committed to providing safe and effective hemp CBD products for you and your loved ones. It's our promise to you. Learn more about our commitment to full traceability at pluscbdoil.com.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
I listen to get accurate, up-to-date information.
I've learned so much from him.
It is awesome. It's the best entertainment that I've found.
You rock the health world. Keep it up. I love you.
Now, the voice of health, freedom, and liberty, here's Robert Scott Bell.
Those workers should be reassured that they likely won't get it again instead of being alarmed by media reports that there is no evidence of immunity. You've stated publicly that you'd bet it all that survivors of coronavirus have some form of immunity. Can you help set the record straight that the scientific record, as it is being accumulated, is supportive that infection with coronavirus likely leads to some form of immunity? Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator Paul. Yes, you're correct that I have said that given what we know about the recovery from viruses such as coronaviruses in general, or even any infectious disease with very few exceptions, that when you have antibody present, it very likely indicates a degree of protection. I think it's in the semantics of how this is expressed. When you say, has it been formally proven by long-term natural history studies, which is the only way that you can prove, one, is it protective, which I said and would repeat, is likely that it is, but also, what is the degree or titer of antibody that gives you that critical level of protection, and what is the durability? As I've often said, and I again repeat, you can make a reasonable assumption that it would be protective, but natural history studies over a period of months to years will then tell you definitively if that's the case.
Well, where's the study showing that your beloved vaccines, Anthony Fauci, provide long-term, short-term, or any immunity at all, as evidence of your search for the Holy Grail in vaccinology, the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism? What is your Holy Grail? It's the antibody. Now suddenly antibodies aren't doing what we've said they do all the time. Naturally acquired, don't work. Let's artificially induce it via vaccination. Oh, well, that's not going to work either because coronavirus are notorious for coming back and coming back again. How many times have you had a cold in your life? Not that I'm claiming it's caused by the virus, because you know this is the Robert Scott Bell Show. We question immunological fallacies about religious or cult-like devotion to the sacrament in the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism. That is the Church of Modern Medicine. And their lust affair with injecting you with all kinds of foreign bodies, whether it be RNA, DNA, antigens, heavy metals. Oh, we can go on. What's in a vaccine? Don't ask the question. Asked and answered. We've got the Vaxxed 2 crew coming up in hour 1 of the Robert Scott Bell Show today. Polly Tommey's going to join us. We might have Jonathan Tommey, Toby, Brian Burrows. It could be the gang's all here scenario. We also have an announcement about Robert Scott Bell Show T-shirts, just to lighten the mood a little bit. They're in. I got them. And I'm going to show you superfan moderator Ula's shirt in a moment, because she's the only one that was able to get, that's coming up. That's coming up. Welcome everybody that's joining us from Instagram. I just did that for the first time, a live video Instagram saying, come on over. The water's warm. RobertScottBell.com. That's where we start our broadcast 2 hours a day. It's actually more than 2 hours a day. It is 6 days a week. And Super Don making it sound so good. Hour 2, we've got Ty Bollinger. Ty and Charlene, and the truth about vaccines, the truth about cancer. They've been banned on Twitter. And we've recently been getting a lot of pushback from skepducks. These atheistic, materialistic, reductionist types that claim the mantle of science. In fact, they claim the mantle of scientism or sci-fiantism in demanding that we not be able to communicate to you like Dr. Janet Levitin, an MD. My gosh, she's an MD, and she utilizes homeopathy and homeoprophylaxis. That just cannot be. And so they're attacking us, going, well, you guys should be banned, right? Because you can't handle anything. Truth, falsehood, doesn't matter. And, of course, what people are promoting in terms of vaccine responses, like Fauci had said, we should never shake hands again, Anthony Fauci. Don't hug anybody. Don't be loving and affectionate. Don't breathe. Come on. Is there a more obvious Luciferian agenda at foot? To look at your fellow man, woman, and child as the enemy because they, just by the simple act of being alive and breathing in your vicinity, could kill you. When were we ever commanded by God to do that? Look at your fellow man, woman, and child as enemies that are, they're going to kill you. Why? How? What were they going to do? Spear? A gun? No, they're just going to breathe. And we're supposed to go, yep, that's it. New normal. Don't breathe on anybody. Everybody wears masks. Speaking of masks, interestingly enough, I got some images from my friend Michelle Cotterman from Health Freedom, Ohio. And she alerted me that the government is sending out to medical professionals masks that contain, you'll never believe it, silver and copper. What have we been saying? The only masks that are safe to wear if you have to wear one, I'm not advocating it, but if you have to, contain silver and copper, because they will stop the alteration of what came out of you. That might have been just fine, but when it sits in that mask, it alters the law of the terrain, pleomorphism, changes shape and form based on the environment you give it, and then you breathe that back in, you're in trouble. Masks are most dangerous to the people who wear them. But if they have silver or copper, like our friends, let me see if I can reach this. Yeah, Silverite Global, you can get you don't have to get this from the government. SilveriteGlobal.com, they have it, and we have it linked up in the show notes. That's silver infused. So if you have to do it. But I found this interesting. Do your part, help the spread. And it says contains silver and copper. It's all cotton, contains silver and copper. Now, you think in the era of let's make everything in America, let's not get stuff from China. Well, where did these masks come from? Find it interesting, but it's not China. That's good. But it is Vietnam. Made in Vietnam. Isn't that interesting? Government issued masks being delivered to American health or medical professionals are made in Vietnam. Why can't we make our own masks in America with silver and copper? Is that too much to ask? I don't know. But what does Dr. Fauci get asked by Senator Rand Paul, who also happens to be a physician, by the way? You know that. Because you see the leftist press going apoplectic. It's like, how dare Rand Paul question our fearless leader? Who is that? Tony Fauci, the emperor. The emperor who wears, well, I'd say no clothes, but his clothes are lined with vaccine syringes and corruption. You've heard the story of Judy Mikovits, what she's been talking about. We've been covering this. Hey, listen, I've been on the air. This is my 21st year of broadcast radio. It's not my first time around the block. I've been following these issues that when we were told in the 1980s we were all going to die of something called AIDS because of a retrovirus, come to find out 10 years later in the 90s when I was studying other things, learning homeopathy, finding out about Professor Peter Duesberg and others, John Rappaport, that there's no such thing as an HIV test. Why is this relevant today, Robert? Why do you bring this up? because they're now going out and saying you won't be able to leave your home without a coronavirus test based on the same faulty tests in the era of HIV, which converted immunology, turned it on its head, which is kind of related to the question and answer that we just saw at the opening of the show today, with Fauci going, we're not sure. Yeah, it's reasonable to assume that antibodies, you'll be protected, but we unless there's a long-term study, we're not going to be definitively sure. Wait, what happened to antibodies being the gold standard? Your holy grail, it means you're never going to get it again. Could it be they were wrong to begin with? And of course, in the era of HIV, you were going to, we give you a test. You say, oh man, HIV positive, right? You're going to die. And then they said, well, we throw some billions of dollars to get an HIV vaccine one day, which they still don't have. How are they going to tell the difference? Well, these antibodies, after we vaccinated you, you'll just carry a certificate to say you're HIV positive because we vaccinated, and those antibodies are going to save your life. Now let's go to God and creation. Nature's God, nature's laws, and go, how does this work in reality? Let's get vaccines out of the equation for a moment. Got chickenpox? I had it. Most of you had it. My kids even had it. We made sure when we found out somebody had chickenpox. Well, now you're like a criminal terrorist if you find chickenpox and you go get your kids, exposed because of the healthy transition that transpired. Then what? You have antibodies. Do they argue? No, you don't. Yeah, no, you have them. They can measure them. Herpes zoster varicella or varicella virus. And guess what? We were told lifelong immunity. Of course, what we learn about lifelong immunity is constant re-exposure, re-education, constantly being out in the world and interacting with the world and everything in it. That facilitates that. But in this isolated state of antibodies or bust through artificial means and injection, the chickenpox vaccine has now facilitated or eliminated, apparently, the normal interaction that we would have, much less maternal antibodies that would protect the little babies that don't have their immune system yet fully intact. And so now we're seeing what? The remanifestation of chickenpox in adults called shingles, and even in young adults, teenagers. It's like shingles, really? Same virus you have the antibodies for, but apparently because we're not allowed to expose one another to anything anymore. And then they attack the two physicians, those ER doc-in-the-box physicians out in California, Ventura County or something, wherever they were, Bakersfield. Oh, how dare they report on what they're witnessing clinically in their practice and acknowledging what anybody that understands real medicine and real science, that exposure, constant exposure to the world around us strengthens us, doesn't weaken us. And this doesn't even go into the issue of viruses as causal factors in any infection and our acknowledgement that there is no evidence that they are the cause of anything. If you can find them and they're present, it doesn't mean they caused your problem. They could have been spewing out of your cells and are actually what we now call exosomes. Go back and watch my interview from a couple of days ago with Dr. Thomas Cowan, another medical doctor. I think this is why we're getting attacked a lot more recently. I'm speculating here. Super Don disagrees with me. By the way, I suspended Super Don today because yesterday he interrupted me. He told me to be quiet. He's got things to say. And so we have instituted the one strike rule with Super Don. He can no longer do that. And wait a second. What are you doing over there, buddy? I told you you're not supposed to be here. What happened? How did you get in? How did you get in your studio?
Have I been furloughed? Is that what's going on along with everybody else right now in the economy?
Yeah, this was funny because you did relate to me this. Yesterday, you were hot, man. We had those skeptics attacking us, right? And you were like, you didn't let loose like that in a long time.
Yeah, I shocked a few people in the chat room.
People were, and then my wife was going, did you see Super Don today? He was awesome. My wife, okay? Your wife says, is Robert mad at you?
She thought you might be upset with it because she was in the other room. She could overhear. And,
I'm talking
my partial Italian heritage comes out and the hands start going and
that was great.
The voice gets loud and everything. But
did that happen in bonus time yesterday after UK Health Radio dropped?
I don't think so.
No, that was within the show. Okay, so you
maybe
guys,
I don't remember.
That's worth the price of admission, which by the way is free. You don't have to. Just watch Super Don go off yesterday. It was awesome. So I was talking with my wife. I was like, it was great. Super D, go get him. So it's just funny that your wife was concerned because, hey, we're brothers, right? We're a radio couple. We've been together for over 15 years now. And Yeah, obviously you're not suspended. It's like you've been promoted. Now I can take a day off and you can take over. Is the point. So, Super D, also, we got some great news on the T-shirts. We're going to show that sometime today. The show shirts, especially for our Patreon subscribers, supporters. Links are in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. Let me see if I can get that up for everybody to see. I've got another clip I'm going to get to you in just a moment as we got Ty Bollinger set up for hour 2 this hour, Polly, Tommey, and the Vaxxed 2 team. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, there's me and TMB and our tuxes there. But we're opening with the Rand Paul story. I've got a part 2 to that in just a moment. Then we'll get to the coronavirus vaccines coming from China to Canada. And then we've got the lovely and wonderful Polly, Tommey, and family from Vaxxed 2. We'll talk about the Gardasil dangers. That's coming up. But if you want to get a Robert Scott Bell Show t-shirt, those of you like some swag, we finally got some. Support us on Patreon. There's a level where you'll get that for free. If we have extra ones, we'll see about doing some giveaways or some stuff. We don't know. In the meantime, let me come back to this article. I know I'm all over the place today. I'm just so excited. I did an Instagram video almost by myself, but thanks to Polly Tommey for guiding me through it. And then my daughter rushes down because it was funny, Super Don. You heard me doing it while I was doing it in the studio, back in the studio. And I'm at the end of this thing. I'm going, I don't even know how to stop this Instagram video. Polly didn't tell me how to do that. And I figured it out like 5-10 seconds later. And at that point, my daughter comes running down the stairs. Dad, I know how to turn it off. I figured it out. Thank you. So,
us old guys trying to figure out Instagram.
Dude, totally. I mean, this is my age is showing, not just the gray hairs, but my lack of Instagram savvy, so to speak. So, all right, back to this article and one more video clip here before we go to Canada. There's the headline at Forbes. I don't think you're the end all. Senator Paul goes after Dr. Fauci in the hearing. I didn't see it as, I mean, if I was Rand Paul, if I was a senator, if I was a doctor, medical right, I'd be going after him big time. But I don't think Rand Paul did. He was kind of a little bit more respectful than I might have been based on what I know about Fauci's history. Again, catch the interviews from Mikovits or, hey, read Plague of Corruption by Kent Heckenlively and Judy Mikovits. So they talk about this, and he's challenging them. I mean, the fact that he's asking good questions is considered, how dare you? The leftist apoplectic response is typical. How dare you question? It's like, really? We must question because we're shutting down the entire economy. We may never recover. Now, there are arguments about the economy not being all that either before this happened, but let's just talk about the acceleration of the demise of the economy, and hopefully you're finding ways to go about in a new economy that is establishing itself before our very eyes. So in this next clip, Senator Paul asks about the likelihood that if you've gotten and been exposed to this COVID-19 thing, that you have some level of immunity, that the antibodies might mean something, for instance. All right? Or is there just no evidence? He's like trying to go, Fauci, what is it? Is it this or is it that? And Fauci's going to hedge a little bit, and then we'll get into the schools. Should we ever reopen schools? I mean, apparently the death mortality rate to COVID-19 in kids is zero. Zero. Do we just shut down kids from going to school? I mean, if we were all homeschooling them, I think we could be better off unless they then say, now that you're at home, we've got you locked down and you can't come out without an immunity passport. And if so, what would that even mean? Would it count if you got antibodies from natural exposure? Or only if they vaccinated you? And then they say, no, those antibodies are the real thing. Or how about the fact that coronaviruses mutate, transform all the time? They're different. And then they said yesterday on the show, we said 2 or 3, 4 or 5. How many vaccines are they going to come up with? Oh, they're not. One's not going to be enough because they change. So we're going to do a few different varieties. We'll figure out which one works best. And we'll let you know after we've experimented upon you. Canadians, it's coming from China. So let's check out clip 2 here. Rand Paul questioning Tony Fauci.
And I think that's important because in all likelihood is a good way of putting it. The vast majority of these people will have immunity. Instead of saying there is no evidence, the WHO kind of fed into this by saying no evidence of immunity. And in reality, there's every evidence stacking up. And in fact, a lot of the different studies have shown that it is very unlikely that you get it again in the short term. With regard to going back to school, One thing that was left out of that discussion is mortality. I mean, shouldn't we at least be discussing what the mortality of children is? This is for Dr. Fauci as well. You know, the mortality between 0 and 18 in the New York data approaches 0. It's not going to be absolutely 0, but it almost approaches 0. Between 18 and 45, the mortality in New York was 10 out of 100,000. So really, we do need to be thinking about that.
We have to think about stuff. Rand Paul, don't make us think. Don't challenge Fauci and his proclamations. We should never shake hands. We should not wear masks. We should wear masks. We can go to church. We can't go to church. You can't dance with anybody anymore. Don't. Really? I mean, how are we giving an expert like Fauci credit for being an expert in anything except for deception? He's one of the lizard people along with Birx and Bill Gates at this point, in my opinion. Okay? Just my perspective. You could disagree. Let me know. We get questions and comments at robertscottbell.com. Y'all are watching through various news feeds and video feeds and audio feeds, some of which will allow you to interact. And Super Don monitors the feed. So if we can't get to your question immediately, later in the show, we do bonus time after our friends at UK Health Radio drop off. They have a limited time frame with us, almost 2 hours. So we got that going on. So I'll leave it at that. If you guys want to talk more about Rand Paul and Fauci and the perspectives that they were, going back and forth on, happy to do it. Happy to answer your questions on immunity. As we talked about a couple of days ago with Dr. Thomas Cowan, our perspective here, and has been for a long time, I said this, one day we'll look back at a time when modern medicine told us that viruses cause disease, cause infection, and we'll learn at one point in the future that we were really wrong. We really screwed the pooch on that one. It was bad. It wasn't even close. And it might be actually 2 days ago that one day happened. So y'all go back and listen and watch those archives and share the show. Give us some thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Do some watch parties, however you can do that. Or if you're on Instagram, I know we can't go live on Instagram for the whole show yet. We don't have to figure that out because we're too long, I guess. 2 hours, they don't do that. But maybe you can put up your own Instagram live and face it to the screen that's playing the Robert Scott Bell Show now for your Instagram followers. Share the message. Share the mission. What is it? The mission to bring the power to heal back to you. It's already yours. It's already with you. You just forgot. I forgot. We all forgot. We were lied to and we go, you know what? Those doctors can figure it out. I don't have to do anything. Really? Big trouble. Big trouble now as Bill Gates apparently runs the World Health Organization. They're deeply entrenched and connected to our own Centers for Disease Control in America, and they have Fauci, or Fauci has them, Birx as well, and you follow the lineage all the way around. If Donald Trump is not part of the deep state, which I hope and pray he's not, in many ways he's done some good things, in other ways we're going, hey, when are you going to do the stuff you said, right? How much can he do? I don't know. But I will say that your power to heal is yours and yours alone, and it doesn't rely on Fauci, Rand Paul, doesn't rely on Birx, Bill Gates, or any president or vice president, Democrat or Republican. It relies upon your recognition of your divinity, your connection to the source of all sources, Creator, God, however you perceive that to be. I can't help the atheist skeptics. They're on their own. You guys figure it out on your own. There's nothing I can do for you. So with that, let's go to our second story and say hello to our friends in Canada. Check out this article. I'm very concerned for you in Canada right now. This is a globalnews.ca website. It says coronavirus vaccine being tested in China, and it could be tested in Canada soon. And I don't know about you Canadians, but if I was a Canadian, I'd be saying test it on our prime minister first. Or at the same time, everybody in Health Canada that fights against your freedom to know the truth about natural remedies and responses to modulate and strengthen your immune system. What are you thinking, Canada? Is this a good idea? Vaccines from China? Really? Now, many Americans, and I know in Canada you say, we're Americans too, right? North Americans. I've heard that distinction and delineation. Whatever, you're our neighbors to the north. You're the nice ones. We're the rogue. But we're not the penal colony. That's Australia. That's a whole separate story, what they're doing down there. But in Canada, like, you can't figure out how bad the stuff coming from China is? You haven't figured that out yet? They're not really into freedom, democracy, not that the United States is supposed to be a democracy. That goes into a little bit of history we need to get into from time to time here, or plug into my friend Michael Bolden in the 10th Amendment Center and learn all you need to know. But we now know that maybe upwards of 90 or more % of the vaccines and drugs that come to America, I'm not sure about Canada, but certainly America, the United States, come from or through China. Now, this has made headlines everywhere. It's not like it's new news. We've been talking about it probably before the big news media picked up on it, but if you get to that point and you realize, wait a second, China, that's a problem. They're not really looking to support us other than what they can get from us or do to us. Why would we trust drugs and vaccines from China? 10% of our drugs, much less 90 or so vaccines. So what we have is a real interesting dilemma. We have been painted in a broad brush called anti-vaxxers, where the vast majority of us are ex-vaxxers, if we want to use the terminology and modify it slightly. That is, when I was a child, vaccinated. Now, of course, the number of vaccines we're given were far, far fewer than today. It's not even a close contest. Then 1986, the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, it really activated 87, 88. And at that point, it blew open the vaccine schedule. Once approved by ACIP and CDC, no liability for any of the manufacturers. Then they had no incentive, if they ever did, to make a safe vaccine. I would argue that based on their technology and the history of it, they can't make one that's safe. It's not possible to inject these things in any way, shape, or form. And then if we happen to mention something like homeoprophylaxis, which can't kill you, they go apoplectic, like they did yesterday in our interview with Dr. Janet Levitin, a medical doctor who uses homeopathy, homeoprophylaxis, etc. So we are now at a point where the vaccines from China, that people who are pro-vaccine, probably not rabidly, but enough that they're like, I don't really question them. We just do it. Our kids get them. Oh, except for the HPV shot. You hear about those people? They're like, yeah, no, I'm into all the vaccines, but not the HPV one. Are they now anti-vaxxers? Are they going to be smeared in the same way? Or those that maybe even for the HPV shot, or all of them, are now saying, hey, wait a second. I didn't know that the vast majority of those shots came from China. So you've got people that had no proverbial dog in the fight. In other words, they're not aware if their children have been harmed or don't have any knowledge of the harm, or maybe they believe that no vaccines harm. Now suddenly they say, wait, they come from China? Maybe there's credence to those stories we've been hearing that have been downplayed or discredited in the mainstream media or by our government officials, CDC, etc. Because they can't live down the reality that China has mucked up the works with COVID-19. Whatever you believe that to be, perceive that to be, the tracking of where all that happened and the shutdowns. Now, our discussion, our argument here always goes back to the law of the terrain. That is, if you're breathing in toxic pollutants on a daily basis, to the extent like in Wuhan, that was probably like smoking multiple packs of cigarettes with hardly any tobacco in it, just a bunch of synthetic garbage, would create pulmonary or lung issues. You can go to China, see it in areas where there was heavy pollution versus not. Also, we've talked about the link to selenium. Areas with selenium-rich soils, more selenium available to the people, much less or no consideration for any harm, any COVID-19 manifestation, even in China. And you go back around the world and see all the people that died. Nursing home in Washington State. People on death's door, on multiple medications, immunosuppressed, immunocompromised, dying. Italy, people over 80. Multiple meds, multiple comorbidities, etc. And the incentives now, as hospitals were shut down from doing any elective stuff that they can make money on, they were desperate. And then the government comes in and says, hey, man, just market COVID-19. We'll give you extra bucks. And if you put somebody on a ventilator, triple that. And then you get the edicts from the CDC saying everything should be assumed to be a COVID-19 death. Exaggerate much? This is how the game is played. And even mainstream news sources are now acknowledging that. Imagine that. So the transformation they don't have total control of the vertical and the horizontal anymore, except their attempts to suppress us and our friends through the new town square, the digital town square, social media. And they're given a pass. They shouldn't be. And we should continue to outcreate them so that we have continued divergent streams of information and flow. And that means signing up for email alerts at robertscottbell.com and taking a quick break here as we say thanks to our friends from Trinity School of Natural Health, where you can get an education, not an indoctrination, that is empowering to you and your immune system. You want to learn about it? You want to learn about iridology? You want to learn about naturopathy, traditional? There are ways that you can do that. I'm going to tell you one right now. Go to trinityschool.org, and we'll be back with Polly, Tommey, and the Vaxxed 2 crew to talk about a new release coming out of Vaxxed 2 related to the dangers of Gardasil, the very real stories you need to know. All right? Remember, power to heal is yours. I'm just here to remind you. robertscottbell.com. We'll be right back.
Trinity's Certified Natural Health Professional Program serves as the foundation to our more advanced CHHP or Certified Holistic Health Practitioner Program. This course will teach you how to apply naturopathic fundamentals to pursue a healthy body, mind, and spirit. From wholesome cooking to shopping to the human body systems, this program prepares you to care for yourself, your family, and your community. In this course, you will learn human anatomy and physiology, as well as the requirements of each body system, the need for proper nutrition and elimination of waste, how to incorporate natural health principles in your own home with tips for shopping, cooking, cleaning, pet care, and first aid, how to conduct client consultations and assessments, and make safe legal recommendations. One of the greatest things about this certification is it's designed for you to put your knowledge into practice right after you complete the course. In a world full of toxins, it's essential to learn how to keep yourself and others healthy. Trinity's CNHP program is the perfect choice for you. If you have any questions or feel this is the program for you, please send us an email or give us a call and get started on your path to transform the world.
All right, so excited. My extended family, including Polly, Tommey, and John, and the whole family, Billy and Toby, and the whole Vaxxed crew, and Vaxxed 2 crew now, are with me. There's an update that I got word from that we need to know about. And let's see, Polly's there. Polly, hey, it's not just you.
It's not just me. It's Brian Burrows, director and producer, Toby Tommey.
Well, tell Brian he can't wear a face mask because those beards, they mess it up. They muck it up.
Yeah, I know. No more masks for me. Actually,
right?
I need a mask. I'm looking kind of homeless right now.
And Toby's in his British soccer, a.k.a. football gear.
That's right.
He's ready to go. And be out there kicking it with you. So, Polly, what's the Vaxxed 2 update today? I mean, you said there's something more about the Gardasil interviews? There's more than we haven't seen yet?
No, that's not what I said. But what basically what's happening today at 5 p.m. Central Time here in America.
Okay.
Vaxxed to the Gardasil section, with Colton, all of that Gardasil section is going to be released online. We need everybody. We cannot hold back on this Gardasil section any longer. People are still vaccinating their kids. Even with the lockdown, they're taking their kids in to have this Gardasil because they think it's going to protect them from cancer of any kind now. Boys and girls getting vaccinated for this, and people are dying. And so that's why it's vitally important that we just put this section out, and everybody needs to share this section. I'm sure it'll get taken down, but we'll just keep loading it up. But we have to get to the world. Everybody needs to share it to at least one person that they know. Because once you've seen that section, Robert, you've got to admit, as Bobby Kennedy says, no one in their right mind and who's read the clinical literature on this vaccine would ever think of giving it to someone they love.
Well, absolutely not. But it sounds like what you're doing is like what I did with Unlock the Power to Heal, the gut health book, recovery chapter. It was so vitally important. We got to get this out, make it free for everybody. So it sounds like you're just putting it out there. Everybody can share it. Now, do they go to the website? I've got the link, vaxxed2.com, and I'm showing everybody on screen what the front page looks like. Do they go there and click a link and then they can share that section, or how is this going to happen?
I have no idea.
We'll be sharing the YouTube link to all our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we can put it on our website as well, right? We should. So,
and the YouTube, what's the YouTube account? Because it's not Vaxxed.
It's Tommey Burrows Productions.
Okay, Tommey Burrows Productions. Superdom probably has it linked up in the show notes, I'm hoping, so you can get there directly. Again, 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. So right about when we end our show, about that time, you'll have the availability or a little after that.
Yeah, and just to say, Tommey is spelled with an E. You won't get there if you spell it without. We can't put it on the Vaxxed. We're so censored on YouTube with Vaxxed.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go there. Go to Tommey Burrows Productions, and you will be able to pull that up and just send it to everybody and anybody who's thinking about getting that vaccine. They can't. We have to stop that one.
Well, and it was interesting. I mentioned that in the top of the hour today, that one vaccine has created more controversy than others because people that are typically pro-vaccine, some of those folks are going, well, but not that one, right? And so it was kind of a weird scenario as you see pro-vaccine people going, but not that one, because that was not allowed. It's like an all or none scenario. If you don't like one of them, are you slandered and labeled with the anti-vaxxer label, or did they just kind of sweep that one under the rug?
I think when you hear a young woman who's 17 years old articulate exactly what happened to her, it's really, really powerful. And I think you have less of an argument against it if you have one after another these young people who can speak for themselves tell you what happened to themselves, as opposed to this is what happened to my baby who can't speak and can't talk. You know?
Yeah, it's become regardless of regardless of injury is like the new autism, if you like. And he's right, because they've had 17 or 18 years of their life. They were top athletes or whatever they were. And then to be crippled or then to suddenly die, people are like, you know what, I'm not going to do that because I used to know that girl. So it's the same thing that was happening with the autism. But the problem, as he said, Billy got injured at 13 months. So people are like, well, he was always a bit funny, It's genetic. The father was a bit off. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, you said it well, but it's, it's an interesting aspect to this. You said adults or semi-adults, young people that have the ability to communicate are able to speak for themselves, not just have their parents say, this is what I saw, which apparently reporting on what you see doesn't count if you're a parent. Which is, you talk about abusing reality to promote an agenda. And I don't know where the Gardasil is manufactured. We know Merck is all over the world, and they've been fined to the tune of hundreds of millions to billions of dollars over their history, as a GSK with, I believe, the Cervarix, which is available not in America. So we have criminal organizations promoting the use and people fawning over it with a cult-like devotion, claiming that it is a vaccine to prevent cervical cancer when it has never been approved to do that.
Honestly, if you heard one day when we've got lots of time on our hands, we should put together a whole hour and a half of parents telling us the things that doctors say to them to get them to vaccinate, because it is but it's so criminal. I can't tell you. I mean, literally, look at Colton. He was told that if he had this vaccine, one day when he got married, he would protect her, his future wife, from ever getting cancer. Now, Colton didn't even get to meet his wife. He died from the vaccine that was supposed to save his wife. And it's bullshit. You know that. Mm-hmm. They're just making up whatever, and they can. They can get away with it because we can't do anything about it. But to me, that is one of the darkest things of the medical professionals, is the lies that they tell the parents. I mean, I could go on and on for hours on these lies. It's just one of Bella's friends came running into the bar saying, I can sleep with any woman I like because I've just had a vaccine that means I'll never get a sexually transmitted disease. What is that all about? That was the HPV Gardasil.
Wow. You said they lie because they can. It reminds me of the old joke, why do dogs lick themselves? Because they can, right? You've heard that. Why do I bring that up? Because they're behaving like animals. These people promoting Gardasil and other vaccines without evidence of safety, efficacy, not studied against inert placebo. Of course, that's not problematic anymore. It used to be the gold standard, but now they kind of move the goalpost to promote their agenda of, I call it, vaccines, the sacrament within the church of pharmaceutical mysticism. It's sorcery, folks. It's wizardry. Yeah. And it is not rooted in sound science. It's a political agenda. It's an economic agenda. It's an enslavement agenda. It's a control and weaken you agenda. And of course, as we witness the young people that are suffering, if not outright dying like Colton's case, to hear these stories from the very people who were victimized by these shots, not the babies that can't speak for themselves in those cases. That's a very important point. So today, I want everybody, homework assignment on the Robert Scott Bell Show. However you get there, Super Don found the YouTube page, but share it. If they're going to ban it, they're going to do whatever they can. Keep sharing it out, creating it. And we'll send it out through our email as well. blast. That's why you need to sign up directly with the folks that you align with on their email alerts, because that's another way we can bypass the censorship in the digital town square.
Correct. Yeah, sign up for us, and we'll tell you what's the deal with all our social media. We're Vaxxed. We go live every day on Instagram, guys, to join us. And we've got Robert on the show, have we not, on Saturday?
Well, if you think I did okay, because you prompted me to do this few minutes before the show today, and I did an Instagram invite to everybody. Did it succeed, other than me not knowing how to stop it?
Every time you do a show, you've got to tell everyone your Instagram. It's a weird name. It's Ask RSB, right?
Ask RSB, yes.
Yeah, so everyone needs to know to go over there and follow you.
You hear that, Super Don? It's a weird name. She said it. Polly said it, not me.
It's a great name, but it's not one that I would necessarily look for if I didn't know.
Ask RSB. No, it's not bad. That's what you can ask RSB, and they do.
I think it's great.
So, Super Don, you're not suspended, just so you know. You're here. We're welcome.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So, there are folks that will attack anybody who shares a message that questions the authoritarian dictatorship that exists in the Western world. It's as if the whole world didn't exist before modern medicine and vaccination happened. Vaca, cow, Jenner injecting this stuff. And that was the birth of the so-called anti-vaccine movement almost immediately after Jenner and his Vaccinia hut established. They said, my gosh, there were people protesting because there were people dying, losing limbs, sepsis, infections. It was horrible. And the technology has not made this a cleaner, what would we call it, technique of injection. It's an illusion, folks. And the reality is it's destructive of your immune system. There's no way you can inject toxic poison. It's like poisoning people back to health, or poisoning people to protect them from what? The poison that spews out viruses from their own bodies, exosomes. Again, it's a whole other level of reality we talk about here on the Robert Scott Bell Show.
I have to say this. I now say that, I know Del told me off for saying this, by the way, but I don't care. I'm going to say it. There are two things that I actually say to parents that you do not want your children going into. One is the military, and here's why. The minute you sign your child signs up, they are a lab rat. And there's nothing you can do about it. And they can put whatever they want in. So no to the military. No to being a doctor anymore, please. Because this is what happens. Your child will go into medical school saying, I'm going to save everybody with all the right intentions, and they will be brainwashed very, very slowly. They will be brainwashed because who sponsors the medical schools? Big Pharma. They run the medical schools. And that's why you get those young medics coming out so arrogant, because they believe everything that they've been taught. And that's where the problem lies. So your child will be slowly brainwashed into darkness and evilness, because that's what these doctors are now, I'm afraid. They're pumping vaccines, they're getting paid for them, and they're killing people.
Well, we've been talking about this because the Flexner Report of 1910 set the stage for the takeover of Western medicine by a pharmaceutical conglomerate. Rockefeller, Carnegie, these very wealthy industrialists said, we can't, what did Rockefeller say? Competition is a sin. We can't have homeopathy. We can't have naturopathy. We're going after chiropractic, although that was proven that they were colluding against that, the Wilk versus AMA Supreme Court decision, 1976. And yet we've got atheistic skepducks out there screaming to whatever hell they live in that we shouldn't be allowed to communicate, that freedom of speech shouldn't exist because they disagree with us. Yet the entire world didn't exist before vaccines, of course. We know that. There were no humans before vaccines. Nobody survived. It's like, it's so absurd as to be, how do they even have the delusion unless they're on major medication? Perhaps that's the case.
Can I just say something?
Yes, of course.
At the end of the film, Vaxxed 2, you've seen it. We start to talk about the difference of what we've seen on the road between the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, and how the bus discovered the horrific dangers of the vitamin K, which are not included in the scientific study of vax unvax. No matter who's doing it, they're not including the vitamin K because it's not a vaccine, but it is as dangerous as a vaccine and causing untold damage. So we weren't going to make any more films on because we're done, but clearly we're not. Because we're back in production with Vaxxed 3, which is going to be a much more in-depth look at the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, and what we saw on the road, and how in the vaccine-free, no vaccines and no vitamin K, no ear infections in the first year in life, not one. And that is the downfall. We all know the minute our kids are vaccinated, they get the ear infections, they get the ear tubes put in, and they go on countless antibiotics, And in the end, one of those vaccines takes them out, either kills them or brain damages them like Billy. It's the same story over and over again. So it's going to be very, very powerful and probably very, very banned.
Well, and one of the most profound things that happened in Vaxxed 2, and I think it happened quite organically, as you said, these discoveries you made through these many thousands and thousands of parents that were being interviewed, was that once they figured out the vaccines were causing the problem, either it killed or injured severely their children, they had more kids. And this time they said no vaccines. And it was stunning to reveal, as these parents were revealing, these kids that came after that fact, no vaccines, have none of the ailments, illnesses, no chronicities. And you say, well, whoa, I thought it was a genetic thing, right? How is it these other kids are not in the similar boat or worse? And to me, that's one of the most profound, positive, empowering series of stories ever shared on film since the vaccine controversy became the controversy it is.
Well, we're going to look into it in real depth, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, one of the, I mean, this is, there's so much corruption going on. And one of the cool things about this Gardasil section that we're putting out is, for those people that haven't seen it, is Bobby Kennedy really gets into how this vaccine made it to the market. And to me, that says it all about the powers that be and how they can get these things out and legally approved for mass consumption. And he does a really good job in that section. But yeah, there's just so much corruption involved in this industry.
Oh my gosh. If you're just tuning in, we've got Tommey, and Brian Burrows from Vaxxed 2. They're going to be working on Vaxxed 3. Today is the day, a couple hours after we go off the air, 5 o'clock Central Time, U.S. They're going to make available the entire section on Gardasil and what is revealed there, because the importance of getting that word out as people are feeling and they're being pressured. The propaganda is weighing heavy in a time of even more fear because of the coronavirus scamdemic, plandemic, however you want to describe it, that we've got to counter with whatever little bit that we have, which is powerful, yet they're desperately trying to censor anybody who has a message of opposition. Or even questions like attacking Senator Rand Paul, who's a physician. How dare he question Fauci? And he was hardly challenging him at all. He was just bringing up some common sense things. It's like, that was not a challenge. People want you to worship doctors, PhDs, researchers, HHS folks. We don't do that here. As we talk about the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism, not worshipped here on the Robert Scott Bell Show.
Robert, the problem is that, and parents, you really have to teach your children exactly what Robert's just said, because when you're at school, you're taught to obey. You're taught that if you're very, very clever and work very hard, you will become something like a doctor or a lawyer. And you're taught to respect authority. And if you don't, you get punished until you do. So the parents have got to, if you're going to send your children to school and that's what they're learning, you've got to teach them, which I didn't do because I used to be the person you're talking about. That's why my kid's brain injured. You've got to teach your children to question everything. You don't have to be rude, but you have to question everything. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say. But I did as I was told, and I didn't bow down to the white doctors, but they had the medical degree, so they know what's best for my child. Mm-hmm. And that's literally one of the biggest lies ever.
Yeah, that's why we call it a medical degree here, because you don't use the sense God gave you once you get it, with rare exception. And there are friends of mine that are in the physical and medical community. Of course, they went through many years ago before the vaccine schedule was so large. And I think to your point, Polly, earlier about the young people going to medical school, they've already been hammered like no generation previous, on top of other things, and propagandizing and hazing, etc. Makes it much more difficult to retain any level of intellectual integrity and skepticism. Healthy skepticism is good. It's the harbinger of good science. But skepticism is, again, a molecular reductionist cult devotion to atheism, ultimately, and collectivism, in fact, that we can't acknowledge the individual uniqueness and immune response of everyone as an individual, and now it's collectivized and said, you know what, everybody gets the same thing. Doesn't matter what happened before, what genetic proclivities you may or may not have, what your nutritional status is, none of that matters. It's a collectivist ideal for the good of the what? Of Fauci's butthole? What's the benefit to the individual when that individual dies or is permanently injured, as Polly, you know so well with Billy?
Yeah, and I always, my latest thing that I say, I put out to the peeps is, if you have a vaccine-free family, first of all, we're so proud of you. But please, one thing we ask you, I'm standing here with Brian and Toby because of what happened to Billy. And many, many millions, countless, one day we'll know, but countless people took one so that parents like I can warn you, and you've now got these wonderful, healthy children. They are history. One day, John and I are not going to be around, and your children will have to take care. There's so many now. They're going to have to take care, and you've got to teach them, please, to be so kind because they are so injured, and they're going to need help for the rest of their lives. So we're going to fix this, and we're going to put it right. But your generation, this new generation coming up now of vaccine-free, healthy kids, they are going to have to play a part in being carers when we're not around. It's the right thing to do as well.
Yeah. You know, every time Toby gets on the show, I always ask him Toby-related questions because he's of a different generation than us old folks.
Okay, then.
You know, pressure's on, Toby. Your interaction with your peer group, any new feedback, pushback, or acceptance as time is progressing in the area of Corona crazy?
Yeah, people are definitely starting to wake up with all this Corona stuff. When the film first came out in, I think, November last year, my friends were a little wary about the film and what we just made and put out in the public. But with everything with Corona happening, and they're looking into Fauci and Gates, and people are really starting to, my age group are really starting to wake up, and that's why we really want to take the Gardasil section, Colton's story, and put it on Twitter, Instagram, take it to social media, get that trending, because that's where the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds are that are getting this shot. They're the ones that need to be informed.
Yeah, especially when you see Colton was so healthy and doing all that sport, and then taken out.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks this can't happen to them. No, everybody thought that we'd never be sitting in lockdown. Everybody thinks that, it will never happen with the microchip. It will never happen with the mandated vaccines. Don't keep doing that, people, because we allow it to happen, because we settle and don't think it will happen. Look at history. We, the people, have to stand up and stop this now. Otherwise, the future, I don't think there is going to be a future.
No.
Literally, because we've brain damaged half the population anyway because of vaccines. So, I don't know. I just think we've got to be brave now. We've got to stand up, and we've got to finish this off.
Well,
I've been really happy to watch what people are doing online over the last couple of months. It seems like this overreach from Gates and the World Health Organization. People are really, really starting to see a rat. They're really starting to smell a rat. And, if you go to Bill Gates' Instagram, it's like 99 comments to 1 where people are just like, you need to get out of here with these vaccines. Like, it seems like people are now starting to think about it. It was fine when we were doing it over in India and Africa, but now you want to do this here? Wait a second. I mean, now people are starting to really get upset about this and question this. So, it's a good time for us to get as much material out as we can so that there is something out there other than World Health Organization, Gates Foundation, and CDC and all their BS. So that's why we're trying to make this stuff go viral.
Yeah, you got to recognize that these institutions, non-governmental and governmental, are not invested in your freedom. They're invested in your enslavement. They get power from you, and the weaker you are, the more they can manipulate and control you. And if you don't know history, as Polly's point is, you are doomed to be able to be victimized by whatever you don't know, by the people that say, it's not that, don't worry about it, dismiss it, whatever you thought you heard. And of course, if we knew the history of vaccination itself, there would never have been a mandatory or even a universal, or if you will, perceived mandate, real or imagined, in America, because we knew at the dawn of vaccinia, right? Jenner himself, there were protests immediately because of the disaster that vaccine was. And they all point to Jenner as the miracle worker because we all were dead before he came along with that cowpox vaccine, which is nonsense. But if we don't know that history, we can be manipulated into believing anything in the present and the future. And then we're living in that total dictatorship or police state in which we're finding ourselves in now.
Everybody needs to read Dissolving Illusions by Dr. Suzanne Humphries. That's a really good book for people that are, polio, we don't want to die of polio. All those people, which is pretty much everybody who's pro-vaccine. You have to give them a copy of Suzanne's book because one person refused to read it because they didn't want to read a pack of lies. See, that's not good enough. Your children should not be saying things like that. They should be reading these books and learning both sides and then having an educated argument. You can't just listen to the mainstream news and the white coat doctors that are on television. They're the most dangerous doctors that people are. They're on television, well, they must be telling the truth.
No, it's like they're the only doctors on the planet are allopathic pharmaceutical representatives. That's it? No, there's such a bigger. I mean, we talk about ethnocentrism, talk about allopathic medicine centrism. Nothing preceded allopathic medicine, apparently. There were no herbs. Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine doesn't exist. Homeopathic, naturopathic, none of these. It's like an absurd, altered reality that we've been living and acquiescing and accepting, rather than pushing back and going, who made you king, queen, emperor, etc. That you say to me, you know what? They should be happy that you and this group right here, my family, not vaccinated, not going to take any, because there's more for them, right? They should be celebrating. Hey, we get more. If there's a shortage, they're not going to get theirs. Whoop-de-frickin-do, but it isn't good enough. They have to get everybody equally made ill via these things. That's why it is not, for those that say, we should be so thankful for our doctor community. No, I'm disgusted by those that are promoting this, that are not asking the questions that some of the doctors are, that I'll acknowledge when they do. They're stepping outside of that zone, and then they get either persecuted, prosecuted, or they're threatened with loss of license. But those who have lost their licenses found freedom.
The biggest threat of all in this world today is the unvaccinated, the vaccine-free kids, adults, whatever you are. They can't have you around because you are living proof of their lie.
Right, and we have to go on the offensive with this. We need to start saying our kids are healthier than yours. Our unvaccinated kids are just healthier than yours, because that's the one thing that they always pro-vaxxers hang on to, is that these kids are going to bring down society. We start not just defending ourselves and saying, no, that's not true. We have to start saying our kids are healthier. And I think after this film, we'll be able to do that en masse. And I think that needs to be the fight song, is our kids are healthier than yours. Sorry.
Well, my wife and I were very chronically ill. When I met my wife, before she was my wife, in her 20s, she was very ill. I was sick my whole life. And I found a way out of it with natural medicine, including homeopathy, going organic, non-GMO, etc. All the things that skeptics say is not real. And then, look, we have kids not vaccinated, never had an antibiotic. Neither one of my kids have had an antibiotic. None of the chronic ailments, illnesses, diseases that I suffered from, that my wife suffered from. What happened to genetics? Oh, you guys were sick, so they're going to be sick. Sorry, what did we do different? We didn't raise them pharmaceutically.
Right, I met your daughter. She's wonderful.
And it's every time. That's 100%. When someone says they have an unvaccinated kid, you don't even have to ask. Wow, I bet you they're super healthy, right?
Oh, I know.
The unvaccinated that have had the vitamin K have got
some problems. Yeah, it's a synthetic thing. There's all kinds of problems with it, and it's just not necessary when you have a healthy mom having a healthy baby. But of course, they medicalize childbirth. It's now a disease. Childbirth is a disease. Why else would you have it in a hospital, a place where sick people go and dying people go? That's a whole other thing, the childbirth racket. Medicalizing all, and I recognize, yes, there are problems that can happen, but that's true of all things. And the question is, do you put everybody in there?
We've heard some shocking stories on the bus about people giving birth in hospitals. I mean, they're just ghastly, horrific things that have gone on. I actually think that the most dangerous place you can give birth is in a hospital.
Agreed.
And one of the things about this lockdown that I have been excited to see, lots of things, but the most exciting thing is that a lot of babies not getting their vaccines because it's not considered suddenly essential. But beware, they're going to come out to catch up, okay? And that's going to knock you guys out. This is why Vax2 has got to get out there, because we deal with that subject in there. But also the amount of parents that are giving birth at home, 911 on the phone, talking them through what to do, and they're doing it, and it's perfect. They're not getting the vitamin K, the placenta's staying there until it goes white, all the things that were worked from us parents who believed that going to hospital was the best thing.
Remember, folks, you think you're smart if you're pro-vaccine? Well, explain to me why a Hep B vaccine is given to every child born in a hospital in America. As if that little baby is going to sneak out of the delivery room and get a tattoo with a dirty needle or engage in a wild, dangerous sex orgy. That's not happening, folks. And of course,
all over the place, Robert.
What's that?
There are hookers all over the place.
Oh yeah, you never know when they're in the delivery room. You never know what's going to happen. Plus, these kids, these babies, ask any doctor, do they have an immune system yet? No, it's all reliant upon their mom, maternal immunity, etc. And when is it that they can even elicit a response to provide an antibody as evidence of a response to presence of something? It ain't the first day of life, I promise you that. It's not likely the first 6 months. It's arguably within a few years before it fully engages in that regard. But Far be it from us from talking common sense because we don't have medical degrees. Hey, what are we going to do? Common sense, connection to source, spirit, God. And that's what we are all about here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. I know Polly and Toby and wow, the whole Vaxxed 2 team, you guys are awesome. And you're like family to me. I hope you know that.
Yeah, we love you, Robert.
Absolutely.
And I just want to kind of keep hanging out, but we got Ty Bollinger coming up in hour 2. And, he's already been banned from Twitter. How dare he and his wife talk about the truth about cancer, the truth about vaccines? That can't be allowed.
They're doing fantastic work. So give them our love, please.
Absolutely.
And Brian, you must shave before you put on a mask, my friend.
I'm going to. No more masks, though.
We don't do masks.
No. As I said, the only masks that you should wear, if you have to, make sure they have silver or silver copper in them. It's interesting. At least then you're not going to harm yourself. But no, I'm not a fan of those things because they're detrimental mostly to the people who wear them. So again, vaxxed2.com. We've got links to the YouTube. We're going to get a lot of pushback as we have been lately because a lot of medical professionals have been on the show that agree with us. That can't be. Those are the guys and gals that should be towing the party line, but they're not anymore. And more of them are defecting from the communist political medical agenda of the pharmaceutical industrial complex. So thank you all for being here.
Bye.
Remember, y'all, the power to heal is yours, and Vaxxed 2 is helping. Thank you. All right, we got another hour to go here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Stand by. Ty Bollinger should join us to go outside the box. Hope you're having a good time. Share the show, thumbs up, and we'll be right back.
The Robert Scott Bell Show. The Robert Scott Bell Show.
Have you ever watched a movie with superheroes and villains? If so, you already understand the science of drinking hydrogen-enriched water and how to unlock true health. Allow me to explain. In our bodies, we have a natural struggle between superheroes and villains, with molecular hydrogen being the superhero and oxidative stress the villain. So how does knowing that give you the tools to unlock true health? Your body is naturally designed to fight oxidative stress through specific bacteria in the gut that creates hydrogen on their own. Pretty awesome, right? So why does this matter? Well, in most people, the hydrogen-creating bacteria is gone, and cancer and disease soon follow. So the real question is, why aren't we trying to fix this every day? Well, the answer is simple. It's hard. Even the most healthy of individuals who biohack take months or years to achieve this balance. But how do we get there without taking months or even years? After years of study and development, we discovered and designed the perfect technology that made it all possible. We call this technology Echo H2 water. Within minutes of drinking hydrogen-rich water from our Echo Hydrogen water machines, you are back in control, balanced, and feeling amazingly hydrated and healthy. Having your own Echo Hydrogen water machine is kind of like having your own team of superheroes on call, always available to fight the villains in your body. Pretty cool, right? But don't just take our word for it. Get your Echo H2 water machine today and quickly bring your body into balance with hydrogen.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
I listen to get accurate, up-to-date information.
I've learned so much from him.
It is awesome. It's the best entertainment that I've found.
You rock the health world. Keep it up. I love you.
Now, the voice of health, freedom, and liberty, here's Robert Scott Bell.
All right, here we go, y'all. Hour 2 of the Robert Scott Bell Show is happening. We're getting a handshake done with Ty Bollinger. We usually hug, but, we'll give him a hug, but it'll be virtual because he's on the road somewhere and he's digitized. But I gotta open up with my good buddy. He's suspended for the day, but he's here anyway. It's Super Don. And Super D, again, yesterday you just let it rip because you were like, the same people that got Ty and Charlene Bollinger censored are apparently trying to do the same to us because they don't like the message, the empowering message that we're being given, that we're having people think critically.
Yeah, we had a troll pop in and a person who apparently wanted to challenge us on the fact that we were having Dr. Janet Levitin on the show and talking about homeopathy. And if there's one thing that sets these people off, it's any talk about homeopathy, right?
Oh, they can't stand it. It's a trigger word for them.
Yeah, it's bad. So anyway, so this person that was in the chat room goes by the name of 42 Believer. And I ended up having to boot her out because she was just being stupid. But we got to make an example of her a little bit before she left. And apparently I had a feeling, these people can't leave well enough alone. It was funny because I asked her about, well, what are your qualifications that you're in challenge, whether homeopathy works or not, or homeoprophylaxis works or not, like that. And she just went, what do you mean? What are my qualifications? Well, what are your qualifications? It's like, no, you walked into my chat room and started trying to cause a problem. If you're going to come in here and do that, then why don't you back up what it is that you're saying? If you're going to come in here and throw down the gauntlet. And that apparently, I said she was triggered.
Yes.
She took offense to that apparently and thought it was funny. So I was like, all right, so who is this person, right?
Okay.
So you guys want to see the face of this person that came into our chat room yesterday? There's 42 Believer.
No, really?
That's the...
Okay.
That's the face of somebody who's been triggered, I believe. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know I don't know what to make of it. Don't know her personally, but
you said homeopathy, and that's the look.
That's
I think
the look
that was on her face. But just to, listen, you and I were having a conversation this morning.
Come back. I don't want to see this face.
You don't want to see that anymore?
No,
all right, we'll go away from that.
All right.
So you and I were having a conversation this morning, and you were speculating. Well, I think it's because we're having doctors on.
Yeah, we have medical doctors who agree with us.
At it and they're going, oh, well, there are doctors and we can't have doctors. We must find a way to counteract the doctors that are defecting. And now
because they're the authorities, right?
And I was like, dude, you're giving them way too much credit. Okay. they don't operate that way. It's on a much more primeval, Neanderthal instinctive place, where they gather up into these groups and go around and troll people and stuff. And so I was checking out 42 Believer's Twitter. And just so you don't forget, this is 42 Believer here.
Really?
But anyway, right here, this is right before the show yesterday. This is the tweet by 42 Believer. And this is just a perfect example of what they do. They'll come across somebody that they don't agree with. Then they'll go on Twitter.
Yeah.
And be like,
hey,
guys.
Get the gang together.
Hey guys, let's go, cause as he says here, a little ruckus, right? That's what they're good at, is creating ruckus. And they will go on Twitter and they'll harass people, they'll troll people. And then they'll also do what they're apparently doing to us now, and they'll report us to Twitter, right? Let's report this here. Let's see if we can try and get their Twitter shut down. And then if you take a look here, this is just today. And if you see here, 42 Believer is apparently watching the show because 42 Believer is reporting on everything that Tommey was talking about in the last interview, letting everybody know Vaxxed 3 is confirmed. Gardasil section of Vaxxed 2 is going to be released today online.
How dare those parents speak out? How dare those victims of Gardasil speak out? They should be silenced.
This, Robert, because if you look on our video right now, we've got some thumbs down. Well, why do we have thumbs down?
We usually don't. Yeah, it's the knuckle draggers. They've come on in.
Let's go to their video and dislike it. This is how they operate. They don't want to have meaningful conversation, meaningful debate. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about the facts or science or like that. They want to go around and cause problems.
Well, let's find out from somebody who knows this very well, who's been attacked for years from these knuckle draggers, for lack of a better way to say it. Not intelligent folks, but they are collectivists. They are groupthink, and they don't like freedom. Straight from witness protection. Oh, wait, he's been unpixelated. It's Ty Bollinger. I can tell you, Ty is on the show. Welcome back, my friend. Oh, he's sort of pixelated. He's not sure if he wants to hide. How you doing, TMB? Let me unmute you and bring you in. Here you go.
What's up, RSB? You can you hear me, man?
Yeah.
Okay, I should be okay. I mean, I'm out and about. I have a really strong cell signal, so
yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
I don't know if you're able to hear Super Don, but apparently,
yeah, I was listening.
Yeah, you've been there.
Yeah, well,
you've been through this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're there right now. It's incredible the amount of censorship that's going on and all these pathetic trolls. It's like you have nothing better to do but go try to ruin somebody else's life. I mean, they're pathetic pieces of crap is what the trolls are. But it's a unified effort to try to shut down any kind of voice that's outside of mainstream medicine. All 4 of our Twitters now are shut down. We lost 3 of them last week, and we had our personal Twitter. Charlene and I were doing an interview last night with John Mappin and his wife from the Camelot Castle over in UK. Mm-hmm. And he's a big supporter of Trump and the country and really on board with a lot of the things that we are aware of. And literally, as soon as we went on the show, we said, well, we have 1 Twitter account left. And here it is. Follow us on Twitter. They literally, within minutes, they shut our 4th Twitter account down. So, wow. Yeah. It's ridiculous the amount of censorship that's going on right now.
Well, as far as doing an end around, I asked folks to sign up for email alerts from the Truth About Cancer, Truth About Vaccines, from the Robert Scott Bell Show, from the Vax team, all the folks that come on board here, so that you have a more direct way to interface. We can't rely upon the digital town square being a friendly place where it was initially, and now it being, freedom of speech when it questions authoritarian dictators. Suddenly now becomes dangerous hate speech, when the haters are those that are coming after us for having experiences that they don't like and much less communicating them, whether it be about vaccines, drugs, cancer, you name it. There's a lot, or politics, because a lot of this, 2 weeks ago, one of our YouTubes was banned. I mean, why? Jonathan Emord, the FDA Dragon Slayer, he's an attorney taking on the bad guys in the bureaucratic oligarchy. What, they banned that? Political speech too? So if you don't believe in freedom of speech, come on out and say so. And apparently the skeptics don't.
Yeah, they don't believe in freedom of speech. You must believe what they believe, their religious dogma when it comes to vaccines or cancer treatments or whatever it might be. You have to agree with them, otherwise you get banned. Just today we released an article. I wrote an article late last night and released an article on Bill Gates. And it's the title is Bill Gates, eugenicist or philanthropist. Literally within minutes of the time we sent out that email, our website's been down. We've been under a cyber attack where they've got bots hitting our website 20,000 times a minute to shut it down, and we can't stop it right now.
I wonder about that. Super Don, can you open that?
Truth About Cancer's down.
We have the link, and we can't even open it. I've got it. I'm going to show everybody what I'm seeing here. This is the page when I try to establish the link to the article on Bill Gates talking about, what is he, a philanthropist or a Luciferian? Or what was your term to call Bill Gates?
Eugenicist.
A eugenicist. Oh, my gosh.
He's definitely a eugenicist.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait. Did it just pop up? Oh, I got it to open. Hooray. It's shown. Everybody can see it now. Bill Gates, philanthropist, eugenicist. It's up for the moment.
Our great IT director, Peter, just called me and said that there's an option within AWS, Amazon Web Services, that we use that you can buy extra coverage each month. And if you go under attack, they will shut down the ports so that you don't get pinged so many times a minute and it doesn't shut your site down. So that's why I was late calling in. I was just getting off the phone with Peter, but I think he just bought that coverage. So cross your fingers, pray that we can keep the site up now.
It happened right before our very eyes, TMB. This is really amazing. So it's up again. And what is problematic about this article? You ask questions about Gates. What has he said? What is he on the record saying?
Yeah, here's the interesting thing about the article, and this is something I've been writing for the last few days, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and more down the rabbit hole as you go. But all it is just an article saying, hey, look, do you know why the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was started? Most people don't know. Most people don't understand that it was during the Microsoft antitrust trial in 1998, where the Department of Justice sued Bill Gates. They sued Gates.
And many governments around the world were doing that. Antitrust,
yes.
right? Yep.
Yeah, it was an antitrust suit. And so during that 18th month trial, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was started. And that's when they began giving, I think, over the course of the next couple of years, about 20-something billion.
Yeah.
$20-something billion to fund the Gates Foundation.
And that was then used to what? To promote a global vaccine agenda and what? Population reduction thematic elements. And I was one of the first, if only, I don't know many of the media outlets I've been on the air, this is our 21st year on the air, talking about the reason they just suddenly began dropping the antitrust threats in government after government in the world happened at that time frame. You're like, well, what happened? What did he do? He got invited into the club. In order to get into the club, he had to do what the agenda of the globalist was, primary among them, as I said, find out who's in charge and what they find important by what you can't criticize in the now digital town square. And it is squarely on the issue of vaccination.
Yeah, that's clear. And that's what, Gates is best known for. It's interesting. I began the article, what makes a guy that's the head of a software titan qualified to now dictate vaccine policy for the world? And the reality is he bought his way into that by buying off governments and bribing and so forth. I mean, that's just what happens. I mean, look, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was formed to whitewash the beating that he took during the trial. I mean, people thought he was an evil dude during the trial, but then he gives away half his wealth basically into a foundation that he now controls. And now the income's tax exempt. So he didn't pay taxes on it now, but he still controls these assets that are then able to buy off governments. And that's how he's got this stellar reputation now as this vaccine expert, when in reality, he's invested in a bunch of vaccine companies. He's formed the GAVI, the GAVI, the Global Alliance for Vaccine Initiative, I think is what it stands for, to try to get everybody in the world vaccinated. And he's funded several different vaccination programs in different countries that turned out to be horrible for the people that received the vaccines, whether it was the tetanus vaccine in the Philippines. It wasn't Philippines. It was in I can't remember where.
One of the African nations, I believe, or there was also some problems in India as well.
Yeah, I mean, where there were miscarriages, there was lots of kids that got sick. I mean, I document that in the article. So go to the article if it's back up. And here's the thing. I think that the website got taken down because that article is so well referenced. I don't make any allegations that you can't click through and prove with supporting documentation. So I don't know. It's just that and everything. We're getting censored. We're getting hit because people hate the truth. And the truth is these are a bunch of globalists that are trying to push these forced vaccines, this fake coronavirus pandemic and so forth in order to further control and lock us down. And we're not going to let it happen.
Well, in TMB, you and I have been outspoken as well and talking to the churches out there, the synagogues out there, the temples. It's like they have been playing far too nice, in my opinion, with the so-called lockdown, because they're not subservient to government unless they ask for special permission to be tax deductible, which is not required under the Constitution. And therefore, they're afraid to speak out and go against, although there are some churches that have said, we're going to defy the government's orders to shut down, and we're going to have our worship services. We're going to come together and worship God as we are told to do, right? And not by government, but by God, right? And so there's a big issue here that I say this is an attack on people of faith. And I think the people of faith, once they wake up and realize the Luciferian agenda that this is, portraying as a public health issue, they would immediately, I think, or should think, maybe I'm too hopeful here, abandon the government's fear porn and start going, you know what? We are encouraged to worship one together. We are encouraged to love one another, to support one another, to not fear one another. And I'm just waiting for that moment when they all get together and go, you know what? The people of faith are no longer participating in this government scam.
Yeah, it's time. We got a chance to go to church for the first time in 2 months on Sunday. So it's nice to be back. I think we only saw one mask in the whole audience, which was refreshing. Because even the CDC is now coming out and saying the masks are not, they're not only not good, they're bad because they harbor bacteria and germs and all the things that they're allegedly afraid of, and moisture in these masks. So they're not good. And the CDC is even admitting that now.
Right.
As you can see, I finally got my haircut yesterday, That was such a good thing because we had to shoot some extra parts of the Truth About Vaccines docuseries, and I was like 2 months from being where I was before with a haircut, and it was clear that it wasn't the same time that we shot it because I couldn't get a haircut. So it's nice to get a haircut. But here's the thing: at the very front, they have some temporary worker asking, "Have you been in contact with anyone with COVID? Have you been in quarantine? Do you have a fever? Are you ever short of?" I ask these stupid questions, and then they give you a mask to wear in the barbershop. I didn't wear it. I did the old Atlanta Braves ballpark blood sugar thing that you did. I said heart condition, hypoxia.
Yes, that's it. Beautiful. Nice.
And then they're like, okay, well, you don't have to wear the mask, but just hold it in case the inspector comes in and you can cover your face with it. I was like, oh, I'll be glad to hold it. But anyway, I did the heart condition hypoxia.
It's the Jedi mind trick over weak minds. You didn't say you had a heart condition or hypoxia. Well done. TMB, the Padawan has now become the teacher. Look at you. I love that. By the way, here, I got a haircut 3 weeks ago. No mask. There was no issue. It depends on where you are in the country, how much fear is running people. And the reality is we've talked about in fact, on Monday's show, Dr. Thomas Cowan, a medical doctor who talks about viruses don't cause disease or infection. They're the result of internal spewing of what we call exosomes due to toxicity and or deficiency, as I add into the mix. And that one day I've kept saying that one day we'll look back on this time and say we really screwed the pooch on these viruses. They don't cause anything. They're the result of things. And yet I think maybe 2 days ago we've reached that point, at least here on the show.
Well, it's nice to share the truth. And here's what's interesting. It's all we're trying to do is to share the truth to people so we can help people. And you have all these useful idiots and these paid trolls, like you're just talking about somebody, and you apparently showed a picture. I couldn't see it, but I'll have to see the picture.
You're fortunate for not having to see it. That's all I can say.
Oh goodness, I can see now. You can go back off of that.
I'm not showing it to the public, but Ty Bollinger just looked. Yeah, it's like
okay.
Yeah. Super Don.
I'm having a little fun at her expense because she's watching.
But it's so
right
mean.
Now,
I was thinking even yesterday, Super Don. Super Don. I was thinking, she's got the number 42 in there. I thought maybe we have something in common. We like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Remember the question, what's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? And it turned out it was number 42. I'm like, okay, we find something.
I don't know. I don't know what the meaning is behind the name and whatever. It's people have monikers on Twitter and stuff like that. But if you go and you look at her profile, she refers to herself. Can you see this here? She refers to herself as an expert on anti-vaxxers. She's an expert. She's an expert. Now, listen, she may have gone to some type of pro-vaxxer university or something and got a degree in anti-vaxxers or something. But if you look at her background and you go to her YouTube channel, she's been watching cartoons for a long time. She's a big fan of anime, so she has a lot of experience apparently in cartoons. And then one day, apparently, and it's funny because she actually has trolled our buddy Michelle Cotterman as well.
Really?
She lives in Ohio, yes.
Fellow nurse. She loves attacking allopathically trained physicians and nurses,
apparently, too. Yeah. So anyway, I guess she got bored with cartoons after a while and decided to become an expert on anti-vaxxers. And she just likes to troll and talk smack on Twitter.
All right. From her mom's basement or what? I don't even know, but...
I don't know.
Okay. Thanks for the update there, Super D. Let's see. What else we got on tap this hour?
Mostly what I was really saying, at that point when we got kind of sidetracked on 42. By the way, I thought 42 would be like an African-American man because I always think of Jackie
Robinson. Yeah, that could be.
I always think of 42.
Maybe she identifies as an African-American male. That's true. Could be.
No, I believe her pronouns are, she puts it in her profile, she and her. So that would not be true.
Does that make it hermaphrodite or does that make it gender unknown? What is wrong with you, Super Don? That's not funny. You can't laugh at that. That's politically incorrect to laugh at that stuff. Oh, my God.
I'm laughing.
All right. Oh, no. All right. Well, I'm putting Super Don. No, you're in jail again in temporary suspension. All right, TMB. So, end result of the truth about vaccines, a lot of new people watched, didn't they? I mean, obviously we had a lot of people rewatch, but a lot of new people, despite all of the suppression and censorship.
Yeah, a lot of new people watched. So it was a very successful launch. The episodes 8 and 9, the 2 bonus episodes that we just created, that really caught people up as to what's going on, were very well received.
Mm-hmm.
We even had a section in that last episode 9 on Gates and the coronavirus vaccine and the scam that we see going on. Not that the entire coronavirus thing is a scam, but just the lies that we're being told to support false numbers and to push this fear porn, as you call it, on the people. That's what we kind of covered, and it was very well received. So, the globalists or whoever's hacking at us right now and trying to take us down, they missed their window of opportunity because we stayed up the whole time. But you know what? That was divine. That was God keeping our servers up and everything during the launch, because a couple million people watched that. So, you want to take down an article about Gates right now. Okay, we'll bring it back up soon. But, you kind of missed a good window of opportunity there, you idiots.
Right. Well, and the irony of this, and Super Don, you can confirm this too, the more you try to censor something, the more people become interested in it. I mean, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
I mean, and they haven't figured that out. How do they not
sure.
figure that out?
If you're sitting there going after something, anybody who may have not even cared will want to know, what is it you are not wanting me to see? Or what is it you're trying to keep me from hearing or watching or something like that? So it has the opposite effect of what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's like I've been reading. I read sometimes on, popular email subject lines to get people to open an email.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the most popular ones you can use is "don't open this email" as a subject. And then people are going to open it, right? And that's kind of what censorship does. That's what happened with us. During the launch, we had all 3 of our Twitters. Well, the 4th one just got banned yesterday, our personal, but 3 business Twitters got banned. And we sent an email out the next day to everybody that was watching, letting them know Twitter just took us down last night. We actually got censored by Facebook and Instagram too during the launch, but Twitter. And then when we sent that email about Twitter, it was like the next day we had like twice the viewers, because now everybody wants to see, well, what are they trying to keep us from knowing? And so it does have a backfiring effect.
Well, and I said, well, keep trying to censor us then. I mean, it only means more people will find us, and that is what we're finding. I mean, the growth of our viewership and listenership across all platforms is up tremendously in this time. Yeah. We haven't done really anything. We kind of suck at PR, I'll be honest. So, the best thing that the skeptics can do is keep shouting out for us to be shut down. And then suddenly more people go, well, what are they saying? I want to know. So keep it up, fuzzball.
Yep. Yeah, it's got the opposite effect. I mean, people want to know what they're trying to keep you from knowing. That's why, the set of books by Kevin Trudeau in the 90s was so successful. The cures they don't want you to know. Well, we all inherently feel like we're being scammed sometimes, and so people want to know, what is it they're trying to keep from us. And in this case, whether it's the information about vaccines or cancer treatments or the coronavirus treatments or forced vaccines down the pipe, these are all pretty important issues. They don't censor things that don't have any veracity to them or they aren't concerned with.
Yeah.
So it's not about maintaining accurate information. That's BS, because you can put up a website, like I said many times, you can put a website, themooninsmadeofcheese.com.
And the earth is flat.
They're not going to censor it because it's not made of cheese, right? It's made of ice cream. Everyone knows that.
Clear, and it's frozen. For those of you arguing that the sun would melt, no, in space it's cold, so it's okay. It's ice cream.
It's cold. It's actually frozen lemon yogurt is what the moon's made of.
Except that the harvest moon is a little bit, I think they add in like, anyway.
But if you're not threatening an industry, then they're not going to censor you. They don't care if information's accurate. They lie all the time. So they're not concerned with being truthful. They're concerned with protecting industries. And that's what anti-vaxxers, this lady or this female 42 that says she's an expert at anti-vaxxers, that's laughable.
Well, we're confused about gender right now, so we got to be careful.
Whatever. And what is an expert at anti-vaxxers? She probably saw that in a cartoon and made it her new life's mission to be
Well, it's like the old comic books at the back end. You can become big like Charles Atlas. Fill out this coupon, we'll send you. And that's kind of what she did. Now she's a professional.
Actually, the reason why I think she considers herself an expert anti-vaxxers, if you look at her profile picture.
Oh no, who's that?
She apparently met Paul Offit once, and that
The
makes
vaccine,
her an expert on anti-vaxxers.
Prophet, the vaccine
Yes.
prophet. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Well, I'm actually a professional basketball player because I shook Michael Jordan's hand in college.
That's all it takes,
dude. Really?
That's all it takes.
Man.
You've watched some basketball on TV, right? You've
Yeah.
probably watched maybe a basketball video on YouTube before.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch basketball cartoons as well.
Oh, well, then you're not just an expert. You're the authority.
Well, I'm
the professor.
Oh, you know what? I'm getting good at laughing while playing basketball because I've been out in the back with the kids playing silly games with the basketball. And so I can actually play basketball and laugh at the same time. I don't know what that makes me.
Oh, speaking of sports, since we're on a tangent here, Bryce just ran his fastest 60-yard dash time.
Hold on.
2 days ago.
6.45.
Yes, he did.
How
Because
did
I think I
know?
sent you the video. Right?
Oh, dude, he's lightning quick, and he didn't have a haircut either. And he had a beard with all of that, and he still did a 6.45. Man, he is going to get down the base path. Oh, my gosh. They got to get back.
That's fast. I mean, just to put that in perspective, there's a baseball organization called Perfect Game, which the best high school players across the country are in Perfect Game.
Mm-hmm.
And each year they have a Perfect Game workshop, and they play ball games and stuff, and they time the fastest guys. Last year, the fastest time that they timed for the 60 was slower than Bryce ran. It was like 6.51, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. When I said lightning Bryce McQueen, I was not kidding. Your kid is fast. He is so fast. So anyway, we've got a lot more to do on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Not so much time to do it in, but we got Ty Bollinger with us here. Super Don, no, not really suspended. We were teasing. Although I'm sure 42 wishes you were suspended today after what you've done. That would put you put the bad producer hat on soon. If you keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no comment? Yeah, that's better that you don't comment. We're going to take a break. For those of you skeptics out there, you want to live next to a 5G pole, go ahead. We are going to protect ourselves from the 5th generation EMF pollution with our friends at Synergy Science, the key technology. Y'all check it out. We'll be back with Ty Bollinger after this.
Today, we live in an omnipresent cloud of charged particles emitted by electronic devices, electromagnetic fields, WLAN, and radio waves. These particles penetrate our bodies and heat the water in our body tissues. Recent scientific studies have shown that this particle flux not only heats the cells in our bodies as if we were in a microwave oven, but damages them as well. At Key Technologies, we want to protect you from the negative effects of such particles, so we have developed the Key Home Cell and other products. The Key Home Cell creates a protective field that works like a filter, intercepting any dangerous particles before they can enter your body. Here we have a partial look at the inner workings of the Key Home Cell. The Key Home Cell generates a charge exchange between the water tubes, thereby discharging free electrons and releasing them into the room. Within 24 hours, the Key Home Cell creates a torus field. The free electrons formed in the torus use their negative charge to bind to the positively charged harmful particles, thereby rendering them harmless to you. The torus field has an effective range of 16.4 feet above and below, and 24.6 feet around the device. The torus field created by the Key Home Cell is transmitted and provides you with protection through the walls of your home. Not only humans and animals are shielded from harmful radiation, but plants and food too. Whether mobile radio waves or WLAN, any particles that come within the torus field can no longer cause any harm to you or your family. The Key Home Cell provides you with all-around protection, allowing you to communicate with absolute peace of mind when using your cell phone or any other electronic devices. The Key Home Cell's free electrons are transmitted into the water through the torus field and repairing the water structure that was destroyed by radiation particles. Water regains its ideal vibrating hexagonal grid structure. The difference is easy to taste and can be proven with laboratory testing. This type of perfect hexagonal water structure is found in fresh spring and healing water and has also been seen in snowflakes. The same effect happens with our food, which also contains water. The Key Home Cell greatly reduces radiation exposure from cell phones, laptops, WLAN transmitters, mobile terminals, and other sources of radiation. The Key Home Cell drastically reduces the thermal stress on your body tissue. It is very fast and very easy. With the Key Home Cell, you will experience a new quality of well-being within your home and more life energy without any unhealthy exposure to radiation.
All right, special ways to go through to find out about the key technology. You can go to synergyscience.com, RSB10 as a code, or you could just click through on the banner in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. If I scroll down, you should be able to see all the things that are coming up as well. Let me see if I can pull that up. I don't know if we got questions of the day today. Yeah, I think we might. Let's see. Just scrolling. No, I don't see the banners today, Super Don. Am I missing them? Or are they on the right-hand side? Got to keep people plugged into all the upcoming events. By the way, Vaxxed 2, they're releasing at 5 o'clock Central Time today the entire segment on Gardasil for free because it's so vitally important what's happening right now. They got to let them know. And, again, check out the links in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. By the way, TMB, I refreshed the page, and it went away, your Truth About Cancer, and now it's back up again. So, folks, don't panic. Okay. It's going to be spotty probably as they're doing the counter to the attacks, right? So if it doesn't come up right away, try refreshing it. Eventually, hopefully, it'll come up as it did again for me. Yeah, for sure. And I welcome anybody that wants to copy the page and post it on another page and link to our site in case that way it's up somewhere else. Feel free to do that. We just want the information out there. Yep. There's another Bill Gates article here. I think that RFK Jr. is involved in this one. And it goes to the 5G and the surveillance of every person on the planet. And see, this is where I get it. People, there are people that don't like us because we have different views on medicine and vaccination. But it's like, are you also so moronic that you can't see the danger of having a 24/7 surveillance state watching you every moment of the day, tracking you, limiting your behavior, your ability to go out and do things? Really? Again, I said, if these atheists don't get off of their a godless horse, there's nothing we can do to help them. Yeah, and look, here's the deal with the 5G towers. I mean, we know that they're detrimental from a radio frequency perspective, but what's the purpose? One of the purposes is so they can track you anywhere that there's 5G signals. And now we've got Bill Gates actually coming out. This is another thing that's in the article that they don't like is, with Microsoft, pairing up for the Digital ID 2020, pushing all of us to be tracked when we leave our house, especially, temperature tracking, to see if you have coronavirus, tracing you to see if you get within X number of feet of somebody else that has coronavirus through the 5G, through the satellites. It's all interrelated. But this is like 1984 on steroids. In 1984, there was just like George Orwell, the character in the book, couldn't get privacy anywhere except like in a little corner, right? Where he was like private. We don't have privacy anywhere now. And they're looking at tracking people when you leave the house. And it's so bizarre, too, with this coronavirus. The testing is totally inaccurate. We talked about the fact that they've tested the fruits, like pawpaw fruit has tested positive. Their goats are testing positive for coronavirus. So the tests are wildly inaccurate, but they want to use those tests to then start to tag someone as a potential carrier and then follow them everywhere that they go to make sure they don't get within X number of feet of somebody else. And if so, that's when HR 6666 comes in, where you've been exposed. Now here's a team that comes to your house. They measure your temperature. They do a coronavirus test. If you test positive, which pawpaw fruit has tested positive, so you probably will test positive, then they quarantine you. And folks, it's total surveillance society. Abandon liberty at your own risk, and that is, you want pretend security. Just give them 24/7 access to you. Let them tell you what to do, when to bend over and get a shot, when to take a drug. When you can actually run your toaster, with smart meters, or they'll be tapering down your ability to use electricity if you even have access to it. And you won't be able to leave your house unless you're fully vaccinated, according to edicts from the World Health Organization, Gavi, Bill Gates, Birx, Fauci, and the CDC. And as well, recognizing the detriment to your health of injecting toxic poisons. Remember, poisoning yourself back to good health, only a moron believes that's a good plan. I'm just sorry. It's just, I mean, if you really want to argue for vaccines, you're arguing for a moronic idea that we can inject you with toxic poisons to make you healthy. That's just, I'm trying to be nice, but it's just moronic. It's stupid. And the freedom that we lose. Look here, I want to talk about the Moderna vaccine.
because it's pretty dangerous. And hey, I wanted to say hi and to my brother Ron's watching. He just said, let me know. And then also Mario, my good buddy out in California, watching.
Yo, guys, Mario, everybody, brother. Thank you for being here with us.
I know Charlene's not watching today because she's on another interview right now. That's why I left the house to go out and sit in a parking lot.
Right. Now we could say anything.
Now she'll watch the replay. But here's the thing with Moderna's vaccine, it's an mRNA vaccine. And so leaving aside all the technicalities of how this vaccine works, it basically, what they've seen with these type of mRNA vaccines in the past with animal testing is that it can cause a cytokine storm, an autoimmune response, and it can be deadly upon second exposure. So, and they're talking about skipping the animal testing phase of this vaccine and just taking it to market. But what we've seen is that in the past with these mRNA vaccines, they're genetically modified vaccines. They genetically modify you, and they can cause a hyperimmune response upon second exposure. So you get this coronavirus vaccine, this mRNA vaccine from Moderna, and then you're fine and you go on with your life. And then there's another quote corona outbreak and you'd exposed again. They're finding in the animal testing that those animals are getting killed upon second exposure. And we're skipping the animal testing in a lot of these vaccines. So it's really, we're like the guinea pigs here. And I tell you, that's our line in the sand. You're not going to inject me or my kids with a vaccine, period. And if you do, I'm going to stop you physically.
Well, seriously, the true believers in the vaccine religion should be happy that we don't want any because there's more for them, right? Why aren't you thrilled about that, right? And it just doesn't, again, another thing that doesn't make sense. Another thing that's evidence of moronicity. I made that up, moronicity.
Well, that's a good word. But like I was saying, look, we have to draw a line in the sand because this is what happened in the Revolutionary War. There's we're not taking any more tyranny and we're going to stop it with force if necessary. But I'm telling you, everybody needs to make it known to whoever, because in the House Bill 66666, the Trace Act, they literally have language that they have these private teams of inspectors that can come to your house, force their way in. I mean, they have, quote, the authority of the law to come in and test you and then forcibly quarantine you from your children or vice versa if one of you tests positive. And I'm just telling you, that ain't happening. If they try that in Tennessee, and I know a lot of other states, we will introduce them to Smith and Wesson.
Yeah.
Two of our good friends.
We got Mr. Ruger. We got a number of Mr. and Mrs. that will meet you at the door. Folks, that is not promoting or inciting violence. The violence that's being incited are those that approach our doors with a threat, potentially deadly threat of mRNA injections or any other vaccine injections. Now,
it's not inciting violence. When you go out in private property, and I saw this all the time growing up in Texas, because lots of property and lots of dogs. It's like, beware of the dog. It's not inciting violence. It's saying, beware of the dang dog, because if you come on the property, the dog's going to eat you. So it's just like, look, beware of the Smith and Wesson. Okay. We have the Second Amendment to protect us. It's not to hunt, and it's not even to protect us from each other. The Second Amendment is to protect us from an overarching government. And if it couldn't be any more overarching than if a government tries to send private teams to residences against the homeowner's consent to force test and quarantine them, it doesn't get any more overarching. You will be introduced to some of our friends at that point.
In TMB, I've been talking about this for years. It's incrementalism. Some people call it a slippery slope. But when I woke up to realize that we were being numbered like cattle, and then my interpretation of Revelation when we get into the mark of the beast, that the mark is a number that you cannot engage economically around the world without. What is that number? It already exists. It's the Social Security number, which is a form of socialism, which is in violation, I believe, of God's law. That's my personal belief and opinion. And we have now the extension of that with Real ID, which has been a good thing that has happened recently, extended another year. They say they're not going to implement till October 2021 now, so that I may be able to travel if I need to for a little while longer. But we'll see. The folks that just kind of said, no, it's not that. It's watch where it goes, because now it ties into unique biometric data, your medical records, and then they tie it into whether the chips are injected into you or not, or tattooed onto you with Bill Gates' luciferase ink, invisible ink, named after Lucifer. You can't make that up. any more than HR quadruple six. But I think also they like to toy with us. They pretend they're like, oh, we're going to do this. Watch what's going to happen. But the reality is, if we acquiesce to the government having the authority to number us like cattle and beasts in the field, then we have abandoned our divinity. And I think we are doing a disservice to our Creator, even though we've been granted the freedom to make those decisions.
Yeah, and we still have the freedom to make those decisions, and we better start making good decisions now and standing up for freedom. Right? It's if you don't stand up for it, you lose it. And look, there's so many people. There's so many of our colleagues that would not help us with the truth about vaccines, right? Because they're afraid. They're afraid of what their audience might say, or they've chosen not to engage about vaccines at this time. And look, I mean, I get it. You make business decisions, but this is much more than a business decision at this point. We're literally fighting for our freedom and for our lives. We can't let good business decisions get in the way of standing up for what's right. And that's what we saw that happened to many. That's why many of the Jews were caught up in Nazi Germany and didn't make it out, because they had businesses and they saw the writing on the wall, but they didn't leave. Even though they saw the other Jews being taken on trains, and they never came back because they had businesses, and then eventually they came for them. We can't let business decisions drive standing up for truth and freedom right now.
Well, and also coming back to the right to keep and bear arms is the right to self-defense. There's a group called Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. They get it. They know what happened. And I'm not saying they could have stopped the Holocaust from happening, but they could have taken a hell of a lot more Nazis down with them along the way. And the point is, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it or be manipulated into repeating something even worse. And this is why I talk about the things I talk about. The gold star on your real ID, folks. It's them thumbing their nose at you, going, ha ha ha. Watch this. We're going to put gold stars on every American now. And anybody who calls us Nazis, we're going to call them out as conspiracy theorists, so they'll be shamed into not saying it. I'm not ashamed at all. And I think we need to be calling out what they're doing here, which is eventually driving us into boxcars. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but incrementally it will if you don't put the line in the sand, as Ty Bollinger has said today. What is that line for you? You got to make that line before there's nobody else to defend that line with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you see the video of the police officer that I think I sent it to you a couple of days ago, who did a brief Facebook Live video or one of the social media videos about how it was unconstitutional for the police to come and tell you that you have to wear a mask, or they can't come and they can't violate the Constitution and make you do anything that's unconstitutional.
Wasn't he a Seattle, Washington police officer?
Yeah. Basically reiterating the oath that police officers take to uphold Constitution and not violate it, right? They're not going to violate your constitutional rights. And he just said, we can't do this. They fired him.
Yeah,
for posting a video that said that police can't violate your constitutional rights. So, wow, we need more people like that in positions, law enforcement, to stand up, like Sheriff Mack, for instance. We've got well-known law enforcement officers, and we need just more of them to stand up and say, this is not constitutional. We will not violate your constitutional rights. That's why they're there.
The last constitutional authority in any given area outside of the states that don't have sheriffs is the sheriff on that local county level, folks. So make sure you're plugging in and talk to the cops that you know and get them to understand. Like Batara is making an appeal to all police officers and all military and ex-military to stand up and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And in this case, we've got domestic enemies like Fauci and Bill Gates, who are promoting an agenda of full-on permanent lockdown until a vaccine appears magically. And then you can go outside with some kind of immunity certificate, despite the fact that they don't even know whether an antibody means immunity or not.
Well, it's not only they don't know if an antibody means immunity, they admit that they think it doesn't. Right. I mean, in the CDC's ACIP meetings, the closed door meetings, we got a hold of the transcripts from Dr. Tenpenny. They basically say, we know that vaccines are effective at creating an antibody response, but we really don't see a correlation between that and preventing you from the disease, right? Preventing you from getting the disease. So they don't really think that. So they say they're effective, but it means, what are they effective at? Right. I mean, I could say I'm an effective driver. Yeah. What exactly does that mean? Am I effective at steering? Am I effective at speeding while I'm driving? Or am I effective at going the speed limit? They don't define what effective means. And so that's the problem, is that whoever creates the vernacular wins the argument.
Well, and the irony of the vaccine religion is, prior to this point in time, efficacy was determined by a titer. In other words, we have evidence that an antibody was elicited, a response, okay? You could still be sick from the very same thing, but as long as the antibody it meant it worked, and we were proud of ourselves. Now they're acknowledging, coming right out, going, antibodies are not a guarantee of immunity. That's what I've been saying. Immunology 101, you could still get sick from chickenpox/shingles. You have the antibodies because there are other issues there. Now, I'm not even saying that the virus is the cause of your problem. To go back to Thomas Cowan's interview, and that is a groundbreaking interview if there ever was one, or an energy-breaking one. It was awesome on Monday's show. And I think ever since then, we've been attacked big time because a medical doctor agrees with us. As I said, Super Don doesn't agree that that's the reason. They're just, knuckle-dragging gang members coming to attack us because they don't like liberty. They don't like freedom. They don't like belief systems that don't align with their chosen cult of modern medicine.
And it is a cult. We talked about that last night on the interview with John Mappin and his wife Irina. How this is really, anytime that you cannot discuss a topic, then you should think about what are they trying to hide about that topic. So you should be able to discuss anything. And with vaccines, you cannot discuss them. They're safe and effective. It's like, I just thought of this on the spot, and I was really proud of myself because I only get a couple of good ideas a week, and this was one of them. But it was in the middle of an interview. No, actually, but I said it's like safe and effective is almost like the medical doctors now are the high priests of this church of pharmaceutical mysticism, and safe and effective is kind of like what they tell the doctors to, instead of saying a couple of Hail Marys if you're in the Catholic Church, go say 3 safe and effectives, and your sins will be forgiven. So it's like. This is the dogma, safe and effective, and then now you're back on the right track. Say 3 safe and effectives, because they're just told that they're safe and effective in medical school. But as we learned from those released videos of the World Health Organization meeting in December 2019, they admit that one of the doctors admitted that your typical medical doctors gets less than half a day education in medical school about vaccines. So her exact words were something to the effect, not exact, very close to exact words, were doctors really don't know that much about vaccines, but they're supposed to be the experts.
And do you know that
the World Health Organization says they don't? There
were all kinds of, if you posted that to social media, they all were like giving warnings, false information, fake news. We're going to take you down a notch. We're going to ban you simply for reporting on exactly what was said. Oh, wait. No, you've interpreted it wrong. Oh, okay. Now interpretations are resulting in censorship. Really?
Well, I mean, that's not even open to interpretation. That was her. That was her. I think it was Dr. Heidi Larson with the World Health Organization. And her exact words were something to that effect. Yeah. We know that doctors only get about half a day of education on vaccines, so they don't really know that much. That's what she said.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I took a poll of one person to ask if I'm like a really awesome dude, and I agree, I am. CNN did a poll recently, and their CNN poll found that people trust CNN. It's settled. CNN has determined that people trust CNN. Super Don, can you validate the veracity of that claim?
Indeed, they did a poll of themselves and determined that they are trustworthy. I know that's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in other breaking news, I asked my mother, and she said I was good looking.
It says it's settled. It's settled. My opinion of you being funny looking, it doesn't count. Your mom disagrees.
My mom says I'm good looking, right? So it's kind of like CNN saying that CNN is trustworthy. Yeah, of course. Of course your mother thinks you're good looking, you ugly mutt.
Oh, that was so mean. Oh my gosh, I've been triggered. All right, folks, we got a lot more healing to go. We're about out of time for our UK Health Radio buddies. They got to sign off. Pip, pip, cheerio. TMB, I know that your wife is on a Zoom meeting. Do you want to hang out a little longer? Do you got errands to run? It's totally up to you. No pressure. We love you. We don't want you to go.
I'll hang out for another few minutes right after we get over. Then I've got to get into the store.
Okay. All right. So we got some bonus time with Ty. So if there are questions or comments, Super Don, let me know. We're going to reveal for the first time on the Robert Scott Bell Show what our certain Patreon supporters are going to get. That was a quick sneak preview. With that, we're going to take a break. Thank y'all for being here. And the power to heal. Wait, and actually, TMB, you say you're better looking than me.
Well, you already said the power to heal part, so I'll say is yours.
The Robert Scott Bell Show. The Robert Scott Bell Show.
Check out a sweet offer that my friends at Better Way Health give. This is an immune boosting supplement that you can't get anywhere else.
Beta-glucan activates and enhances your immune response to invaders.
These things are brilliant for modulating the immune system.
Someone has a need for help in supporting their immune system, I'm looking at the glucan product.
It's amazing, and there's been an enormous amount of research done on this.
It's the most studied immunomodulator on Earth, with over 14,000 published studies referencing beta-glucan, and it's currently being tested in roughly 100 clinical trials.
If you like your dietary supplements with validated science, there's nothing that has more behind it than the beta-1 3D glucan from Better Way Health.
Probably the most heavily researched substances that I'm aware of that modulates the immune system.
It rebuilds your immune system.
Consistency and quality are everything.
Here, you want to see my supplement drawer? Here it is. Get ready.
I was putting together my research and I tripped on this supplement called beta-glucan.
There it is. It's very small. I take beta-glucans, immune booster.
You don't have to worry that you're overstimulating the immune system. We have been just amazed.
I take like 2 a day from Better Way Health.
It's been tested against about 36 other immune-boosting products and found to be superior.
If you have an immune system or you want one, beta-1 3D glucan, that transfer point is very unique. It's going to get the results that you're looking for. I support it and I use it.
Better Way Health, I got to tell you, you can spend more time, you can spend more money, but you cannot give better service than you're going to get from those guys down there. They are truly 24 karat.
The brand you want to get is called Transfer Point Beta-1 3D Glucan, and you can get it from betterwayhealth.com. Let's spread the message about beta-glucans. It's a powerful substance from nature that can help you.
All right, back at it with Ty Bollinger and Super Don, who is not suspended. No, he's not. He would never be. He is Super Don. Some days he annoys me. He becomes Ooper Don. But other than, oh, no, now you're Ooper Don. Take that picture away. Thank you. That was really mean, Super D. That was so mean. Anyway, Super D, we got Ty for a few minutes. So if there are any questions or comments, relevant or irrelevant to anything we've done today, now would be the time before he has to run.
Man, people have just been going off and just like crazy in the chat room here. I'm not seeing any specific questions. There is one that just came in here at the bottom here from Facebook, and Deanne is interested in thoughts on vitamin C in treating immune deficiencies.
Well, my perspective is that I get my supplements in whole food form. That most vitamin C in the market and health food stores, and certainly that doctors use, is a synthetic, often produced from GMO sugars. It's not a natural substance, although it's not as toxic as regular chemotherapy. That's why I call it vitamin C chemotherapy. Now, would I rather have a doctor give vitamin C infusions for COVID-19 rather than some other chemo? Absolutely, I would. Doesn't mean I would use it, because I can achieve with micrograms of 100% whole food selenium what it takes grams of synthetic vitamin C to maybe do. So it's not me dissing on people who use it. It's just, if I can do it with micrograms of selenium, why would I need to? That's my perspective. Anyway, TMB, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in vitamin C. We take, I do both. I do selenium and vitamin C. I do liposomal vitamin C. so it's more absorbable and so forth. And I know that vitamin C has been successfully used, intravenous vitamin C, as a cancer treatment. So I'm a big believer in that. But I'm not even sure what the question was.
I actually saw a study this morning as I was going through everything like I normally do, where they found that a combination of fasting and vitamin C was shown as effective for hard to treat cancers.
Yeah.
So these studies exist. They're out there.
And it's like I said, it's vitamin C chemotherapy. Now, remember, ascorbic acid is not vitamin C as it occurs in nature. Some people argue, oh, it is the same thing. It's not. It's so much more comprehensive and complex. If you want to take it, I'm not telling you not to. You can. So people get mad at me. Oh, you're not a big enough proponent of it. I'm like, well, why, if I don't need to be, why should I be? If I can do with selenium what they say takes a lot of C, why do I need to? I'm just saying I'm pragmatic that way. That's all. Yeah. That's all. So,
Marina, do you know the rate of false positive test results that are coming back for COVID?
Wow. Well, I've heard upwards of 70%. Some say 50%. Some say 20%. So it's all over the map. But what is a true positive? If you have a test for antibodies that is nonspecific and cross-reactive, what is it testing for? Could we then say it's 100% false and 100% true at the same time? And of course, that absurdity would cancel it out as a valid test because there's no standard, just like HIV tests. You want to end HIV, stop testing for it because it's not a test for it in the first place. That's all I got. TMB, okay. I'm sorry, man. I'm holding you up, and I'm just like hogging the microphone.
Oh, that's okay. I don't mind. You articulate well. You as Dad used to say, you wax eloquent.
What? I speak profusely, not necessarily profoundly.
You talk good, dude.
You talk good. That's it. That's what I was looking for. All right, TMB. So are there any other announcements from TTAC, TTAV? Can people still buy the 9-part series now, TTAV, or is it all done, or what's up?
Yeah, I mean, you can still buy it. It's not on sale anymore, but yeah, it's still available. And you know, if you want to buy it. I mean, it's not like it's not an outrageous price, normal price either. We just gave it away for almost nothing during the sale, but it's still very affordable. But you can still get it there if you can get on our website. Even I don't know if Truth About Cancer is still up, but we got a products page that you can buy it.
Okay, good. And Super Don, thanks to you, we got 17 thumbs down today.
Yeah, I know. But you know what the thing is? We know those thumbs down were where they came from. So
sure they do.
It doesn't bother me any. But you know, I do want to say real quick that you know now that apparently we have arrived and we've got people that are trying to ban us and all that kind of stuff. I can't think of a time that it's more important than now for people to get plugged in to things like our newsletter. Get signed up for the newsletter because, you know, I mean, look, it's possible, you know, we may end up getting knocked off somewhere, you know, whether a platform or something like that. So make sure you're signed up for the Robert Scott Bell Show newsletter so that you've always got a way to be in contact with us. And you can do that over at the website, robertscottbell.com. Just put in your info there. And, you know, in the event that we end up having to do something in response to that, you'll be able to be in touch with us.
Yeah, and come to robertscottbell.com. That you can always catch our digital platform outreach that we're not likely to get banned on. It plays live when we're on. We have 24/7 streaming through naturalnewsradio.com and many other outlets, and more are picking us up. I think we're on Periscope TV as well today. And so we're going to be joining a whole lot more to outreach. And you know, TMB, we have to be redundant in what we do. In other words, have many backup systems, as you found out, like with attacks on websites. We've had that. But listen, this is my 21st year in broadcast healing, and pretty much most of those shows are available, and lost episodes are available for Patreon. So they're a little late to the party, but welcome.
Welcome and goodbye.
Yeah, all right. Well, TMB, I know you got to run. You got some errands to do. Big hugs to the whole family, and happy belated Mom's Day to Charlene. And we love to see the kids soon. Hopefully, if we can get together, even if it's for a little bit. Dr. Batar is hosting the Advanced Medicine Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, Memorial Day weekend. We'll be there. If you happen to show up, I'm not going to try and race your son Bryce unless I have a 2-day head start.
You can race me, though. You can still beat me badly.
We'll see. But we've been out working out a lot, so Well, I'm feeling fit, and when we go back down to close to sea level, we have an advantage at almost 5,000 feet up. So we're oxygenating well. Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. All right, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, TMB. Love you, my brother.
Love you, bro. See you, man. See you, Super D.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's Ty Bollinger joining us to go outside the box as he does each and every week here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Links up in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. Super D, do we have questions of the day we were supposed to answer in the notes today?
Yeah, we actually do have some there.
We can knock them out before you have to run, I think.
So, all right.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so I'm going to play the theme. I'm telegraphing it against doctor's orders because I can.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Question of the day, and this is in bonus time already, so we were chock full of stuff. This first one's coming from Melanie. Says, hello, I'm wondering if it is compatible to take selenium, silver, CBD, the charcoal, and the kratom, like all together. It's like, should I read it like a Valley Girl? Like all together, right?
And you have to end each sentence like it's a question.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is. This first one was a question. She's got a second one that's a question, Melanie. Yeah. I have these products, and I'm wondering if they can be taken together separately, or do they need to, or even work if you, or would they even work if you take them together? I'm rather new to your show. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to have discovered you guys and just went keto 6 months ago and have never felt better. Awesome. Also used to be an alcoholic, drug addicted being, have been delivered, praise the Lord, but still struggle at times craving sugar. So anyways, I didn't mean to write a book, just needed some guidance on how to take these products. Thank you, Melanie. Melanie, that's not even close to a book. We have some people, Super D, that do write books into us. That's
first off, Melanie, congratulations on overcoming the alcoholism and the drug addiction.
Yeah, amen, Melanie. Yeah. That is beautiful. I'm glad to hear it. Now, you mentioned you still had some sugar cravings, and that's not unusual. I've often linked addictive personalities, addictive behaviors to deficiencies of minerals. And so you mentioned selenium, silver, CBD, charcoal, and kratom. Those are great, but you missed one of the most important, perhaps the most important in this mix, especially with your history and background. That is the GTF chromium, the 100% whole food GTF chromium. I'm going to go back into the show notes at robertscottbell.com just so you're sure that you get the right form, because the right form matters. Don't get this chromium picolinate garbage. These are synthetic isolates that don't work, and that can be dangerous. There it is, front page at choosetobehealthy.com. RSB5 gets you 5% off, I believe. There's a discount code, RSB5. There's also reduction if you buy more than one. And there it is. That's the 100% whole food form of chromium. I don't sell it. I don't get anything from it. But if you would be so inclined, you take one tablet, 50 micrograms. I'm sorry, 100 micrograms. This is selenium, that's 50. I'm getting confused myself. 100 micrograms, 3, maybe even 4th time a day. And that'll get you past your sugar cravings in a hurry. Especially if you're not too bad off, which it doesn't sound like you are. So thank you for that question, Melanie. I think there are a few others to that question I'm going to get to real quick here. I'm trying to not make everybody dizzy as I'm scrolling through fast and they're watching. This charcoal is typically taken on an empty stomach away from other things because it's designed to have an impact to bind and detoxify. So I wouldn't take the charcoal with other things necessarily. It's not going to be bad. I don't think it'll be horrible to do so. It's not dangerous to do so. And it's like silver. Silver is very bioactive when you take bioactive silver hydrosol, like the Sovereign Silver or the Argentin 23. And that facilitates very rapid interactions with your metabolism, with your cells, with your immune system. And if you take that with a lot of things, you'll tend to bind it before it has the full benefit for you. So, yes, it's a valid question. Certain things you don't take with other things. Fortunately, it's not due to the danger, because it isn't dangerous. It's simply for functionality of whatever you're taking to get the best benefit. So if you want to take kratom with selenium, no problem. You want to take kratom with CBD, just check out how your response is, because these are substances that we don't have a lot of definitive information on in terms of how much you need. It's very individual, whether it be CBD, whether it be kratom. And we utilize both, especially my wife. It's been a godsend for her. She's alive today because now both of those things, as well as the Synergy Science key technology that we get. And you can, click through, and we're going to do a 5G webinar. Is that right? Is it coming up next week, Super Don, the webinar? May 19th. So we're doing that with Dr. Batar, hosted by Trevor King. So everybody sign into that. You will learn things. I can only cover a little bit here and there. Now, before I get to the next question, shall I reveal our super fan and now moderator of the Robert Scott Bell Show YouTube page? Did you make her a moderator? What did you call it?
Yeah, she's a mod.
She's a mod. Yep. So this is the actual shirt I was able to get for her. She was the only one that got the V-neck. I am so sorry if anybody else wanted a V-neck. It was like, what do you have in stock? That was the only way I could finally get this done. And so this is what they had. So here's the shirt, and this is a Steve Feld design, making me look cooler than I am for sure. And on the back side, it says the power to heal is yours. So if you want to, am I holding that up right? I think there it is. Like, I don't even know where to push it. There it is. So on the front, Rocking the Health World. On the back side, power to heal is yours. And we have them in multiple sizes. So Super Don is trying to find out the right size. We got XLs, Ls, Ms, S's, and XS's for kids. That's extra smalls. And we have a limited number. So the Patreons that are at the level, you know who you are. You got first dibs. And then after that, we got to figure out what to do from there. So
if you're on Patreon and you've been waiting forever for your T-shirt, I'll be contacting you directly through Patreon. So be on the lookout. You should be getting an email notification when I send it to you so I can get your shirt sizes from you. And then once we're done with that, we'll take a look at what we've got left with this first order. And then we'll make them available to everybody else.
And they're in a bunch of different colors. Like I said, in order to make this work and make it affordable, I went into this place finally that had no business going on. I'm like, dude, what T-shirts do you have in the back room? Let's not order new stuff. Let's use what you have. And they're like, oh, okay. So I just had to pick what they had, a bunch of different colors and sizes, and hopefully, I'm sure it'll be enough to meet the demand for our Patreons. We don't have that many yet. It's growing. And then there's to be autographed books of Unlock the Power to Heal for some of them as well. I'll be sending out with that. So thank you for your patience.
So with that said, this is a perk that you can get if you join Patreon, but I think it's at a certain level. And you'll just have to look. There's different tiers of membership. So if you're interested, if you'd like to support the Robert Scott Bell Show and what we're doing, get access to a bunch of other cool perks for being a member, and get a free T-shirt, then head on over to Patreon. You can just click on the banner on the website.
Good. All right. So we got another question. By the way, is Ula still in the chat room? Is she commented?
I haven't seen her in a little bit.
Okay.
She may be listening, but not.
I was revealing it for her and only her, and now everybody knows.
She'll see it. You can go back and look.
My question is from Gail. How do you move forward in the case of forced vaccine? Is there anything / protocol we can do to protect ourselves? Well, Gail, one of the things you heard Tommey talk about in hour 1 is don't join anything where it's already mandatory, like go into the military or become a doctor where they'll force you, or even a chiropractor in some of these chiropractic colleges. It's sad that they require vaccines to be given to you before you get in. Not all of them, but find out the ones so you only go to the right one. But the idea of full-on forced for everybody, wow, right? That's what we're talking about now. And so you heard Ty Bollinger talk about it. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard Dr. Battar talk about it. There is no shortcut to prevention other than to let them know that the consequences of even attempting to force vaccinate you or your family member are so severe that they wouldn't be stupid enough to try it. Just saying, unless they have a you-know-what wish. Now, there is a question that I sense in Gail's question is regarding what if they force you and you do it? What can you do? We've talked about homeopathically just the other day with Dr. Janet Levitin about thuja. There are homeopathic remedies for vaccinosis, adverse vaccine events. I'm not saying it's foolproof, but it has been known since the time of Jenner. You know, Hahnemann had developed these and other doctors had observed adverse events due to vaccination and developed remedies or identified remedies that could help. Thuja is one of them, Silicea another. There's a comprehensive Vaccinoplex, Vaccino-Cleanse. I don't think it's on the market again yet, but I'm urging Dr. King to bring that out from our friends at drkings.com. So selenium becomes critical when you deal with mercury, and silicon becomes critical when you deal with aluminum. So there are other things as well as frequencies that can be generated through the Echo water machines from Synergy Science, Synergy Resonant Technologies that you could program into your water. I know that a lot of people don't believe in programming water, can't help you. But if you want, you can access that technology, resonant frequencies, and we have that. All of life carries different resonance frequency signatures. Finally, one more question, and we'll wrap up unless there's anything else urgent coming through. Super Don is monitoring the feeds. This is Consuela. She says, regarding Dr. Tom Cowan's presentation on our May 11th, 2020 show, question, viruses are believed to shed, which is what is supposed to cause the spread of infection. If exosomes carrying toxic material, misidentified as viruses or messengers, it would seem plausible that they shed and are picked up by others to spread the word. In a relatively healthy society, the exosomes would be a boost to immune function. However, because we have such an unhealthy population with toxic overload, immune dysfunction, pre-existing conditions, etc., would introduction of the exosomes more likely push many of these people into compromised individuals over the top into serious disease? Is there any validity, therefore, to social distancing? Consuela. So, this is a great question, Super Don. Dude, this is really well thought out. I have to give props to Consuela on this one. And, what have I said about the potential for pandemics? It wasn't because of a virological agent or a bacterial agent or a fungus. It was due to overwhelming toxicity and or deficiency resulting in what we call disease, or disease is what we call that. And then they identify it and they call it something. And they call that the disease, which is the symptoms of the body trying to regain health. So exosomic interaction, if we call it that now, instead of viral, is kind of like microbiome interaction, kind of like those two physicians that got all the heat and got banned because they were daring to question the death intensity or inevitability of COVID-19, saying everybody wearing a mask is basically stupid. Most people are. Or, over sanitizing. We need to interact with one another. Staying indoors, not good. All of these things, arguments for how the immune system is continually reminded via these human-to-human interactions, even animal interactions in the world around us. The hygiene hypothesis. Remember that, Super D? The hygiene hypothesis? Mm-hmm. Growing up on a farm, these kids had fewer allergies, et cetera. They were exposed to all kinds of stuff that you say, oh, no, that's dangerous, don't do it. And so to answer your question to the best of my ability, Consuela, the over-the-top serious diseases I do not believe would be caused by the exosomes/viruses as much as it is we talk about frequencies and toxicity that are present, and they manifest similarly at similar times. And there's more than I have time to respond to at this point, because I know Super D has to butt out pretty soon. Did I say butt out? I'm making some bug out. Thank you. Yes.
There you go. Not butt out.
Making some bad butt jokes today, Super D. I saw you laugh at one of them.
Well, it's like the second time I've heard you make reference to Fauci's butthole, and I still don't quite understand where that's coming from.
You know what? I don't know either. I think it was just the stuff that's spewing out of his pie hole. It's confusing me. Which hole is which? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Confused me too.
Right? Okay. So, any other questions or comments before we wrap up? What do we got tomorrow? We got Jonathan Emord scheduled, as far as we know. I don't know if we have anything scheduled for Friday yet.
Hold on. We've got Dr. Kelly Halderman on.
Oh, it's like medical doctor week here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. She's an MD as well coming on. We're going to talk thyroid with her.
Yes, hyperthyroidism.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what we got. And Friday's still a wild card. We'll let you know as soon as we got somebody in there.
Okay, and I'm still scheduled, as far as I know, Tommey is going to interview me on their Periscope, what do they call it? Maybe it's Instagram. Yes, Instagram, that thing that she introduced me to today and made me do a welcome, hello, the show's about to start. She didn't make me do it. She's awesome. And once again, remind you, let's see, it's 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock East Coast Time today. You will have access for free to the section in Vaxxed 2, The People's Truth, all about the Gardasil debacle and the stories that were shared in the film from the people, from their mouths themselves or the families. So that's coming out today. And again, sign up for email alerts. We're going to be sending out invitations as well to the Advanced Medicine Conference, as well as the 5G online, we call it summit or webinar probably. That's coming up next week. And then our AMA, our Ask Me Anything, coming up Monday.
All kinds of stuff coming up. So
that's
stay
all
tuned.
I can remember.
We'll keep you informed and entertained, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.
Yeah. Hey, and thanks. Thank you, Ula. This is yours. I got it. We'll be getting it out to you soon, and others. The power to heal really is yours. And I guess we'll be back tomorrow.